Chapter 158. We'll take a detour. Long Houchen made a decision after pondering for a moment. The Exorcist Mountain Range is located near the center of the Exorcist Mountain Range. The Exorcist Mountain Range stretches for thousands of miles. Even if the demon army is several times more numerous, it's still impossible to block the entire border. If we take a detour, we'll be able to find a place with relatively weak defenses. As long as we enter the Exorcist Mountain Range, we'll naturally be able to return to the Exorcist Mountain Range. After deciding on the plan, everyone immediately set off, maintaining a sufficient distance from the demon camp. They moved horizontally, heading north. Because the demons' main camp was in the southeast, only going north would give them more opportunities, and it wouldn't be easy for them to run into the demons' reinforcements. The demon army's encampment range was larger than they had imagined. The main army stretched for hundreds of miles, and there was also a large number of auxiliary troops, patrols, and scouts roaming around the edges. Apart from the demon army at the front of the Exorcist Mountain Range, there were demons' beacon towers and a small number of garrisons at every distance. Of course, these places were in the direction of the mountain range, used to prevent the Temple League from descending from the mountains to carry out a sneak attack. After all, the border was so long that it was impossible for the demons to completely surround the Temple League. This was also the reason why Long Houchen had chosen to take a detour. Of course, this method wasn't created by Long Houchen. Monster hunters above the sixth step almost all chose to break through the weak points and enter each other's territory. For safety's sake, Long Houchen and the others continued north for nearly 200 miles before stopping. At this time, the sky was already bright and it was almost noon. Finding a thicket that wasn't too dense, Long Houchen brought his companions to rest. Night was the best time to hide, and tonight was the night they would return to the Demon Alliance. According to Long Houchen, dawn was actually the best time, because at that time, whether it was humans or demons, their willpower was at its lowest. However, there was one problem that restricted his choice of time, and that was the shield of Sun Moon Divine Snail. After a few days of experimentation, Long Houchen realized that his Sun Moon Divine Snail shield could not be released at dawn and dusk. Without a doubt, the protection of the Sun Moon Divine Snail shield was immensely powerful. With this shield casting the shield wall, the might of the shield wall could even last against a Type 9 powerhouse for some time. Even a Type 8 powerhouse would not be able to break his defense easily. Although it was not very dangerous to break through from this side, to be safe, Long Houchen naturally wanted to break through the demon's scouting line when the Sun Moon Divine Snail shield could be used. Everyone was recuperating in the bushes. They didn't light a fire as they silently waited for the night to come. Han Yu's evil eye quietly floated above the shrubs. His gigantic single eye flashed with a crystal light from time to time as he scanned his surroundings. At this time, they were about 20 li away from the demon's sentry post, which was a distance that the demon's scouting magic couldn't reach, especially since this was not the front of the Exorcist Mountain Pass. In the general class Monster Hunt 64, other than Long Houchen and Kair, whose cultivation had risen the fastest, the other people's speed of improvement wasn't slow at all. It was just that their radiance was completely overshadowed by Long Houchen and Kai. For example, Han Yu. The current Han Yu had an internal spiritual energy of more than 6,000, which was the standard cultivation of the 4th level of the 6th step. He was only in his 20s. To give a simple example, when Long Houchen's father was the same age as Han Yu, his cultivation might not have been higher than Han Yu's. Along with the increase in Han Yu's strength, his demon beast companion, the Evil Eye, had also evolved to the commander rank, which was roughly equivalent to a human 6th step powerhouse. Its single eye was already more than half a meter in diameter, and it had 4 soft tentacles that were more than 6 meters long. Although its main use in monster hunters was to scout, in fact, the Evil Eye's fighting strength was also quite good. The sky gradually darkened. At the border, the demon's army lit bonfires. A team of 50 dual-bladed demons was patrolling the border. The number of dual-bladed demons was the largest among the demons. This kind of hard and tiring work was naturally done by them. In addition to the dual-bladed demons, there was also a demon eye warlock in this team, who was responsible for passing messages. While they were advancing, the demon eye warlock suddenly let out a shriek and stopped. The dual-bladed demons also quickly stopped and surrounded him. These low-level demons didn't have any language, and they relied on their instincts to pass messages. The demon eye warlock's 6 eyes stared in one direction, but in the next moment, whether it was him or the dual-bladed demons, they couldn't help but tremble and crawl on the ground. A team of people dressed in black robes was moving quickly in their direction. The one at the front wasn't humanoid, but an incomparably huge black dragon. The dragon's eyes flickered with red light, and with just a cold glance at the demon eye warlock and the dual-bladed demon, these patrolling demons almost went limp. Behind the black dragon, there were a total of 9 black-robed people. Among them, the person walking at the front lifted the cloak on his head, revealing an extremely handsome face. He took out a token in his hand and waved it at the demon eye warlock and the dual-bladed demon, but his feet didn't stop at all, and he strode away with his head held high. Don't mention obstructing or questioning them, for the demon eye warlock and the dual-bladed demon, they didn't even have the courage to stand up in the face of the heaven-defying demon dragon's coercion. They could only watch in awe as these existences, who might be the top powerhouses of the demons, left. Gradually, they disappeared into the night, and the direction in which they went was the demon mountain range. Only when the dragons might completely disappeared did this team of patrolling soldiers get up from the ground, but their breathing had clearly become heavy. This was the first time they were in such close contact with a top powerhouse. It would be strange if they could remain calm. The same situation happened one after another at the border, and at least 4 teams of patrolling soldiers were so scared that they went limp on the ground. If it was just a humanoid powerhouse of the demons, they might have dared to step forward and ask. But the problem was that the one leading them was a genuine heaven-defying demon dragon. The total number of heaven-defying demon dragons in the entire demons was no more than 200, and they were the true direct subordinates of the demon dragon emperor. Even some of the lower-ranked demon gods had to be careful in front of them, let alone these low-level demons who were in charge of patrolling. Madul is becoming more and more like a model. Under the cover of the black robe, a chuckle suddenly sounded. The leader of the black-robed people turned his head and coldly glared at the person who spoke. The person who spoke hurriedly shut his mouth, not daring to say another word. That's right, wasn't this team of black-robed people Long Houchen and the others? In order to pretend to be a demon hunter, Long Houchen summoned Holy Guard number 11 and number 12. Everyone wore black robes, and Madul Piglet directly transformed into the appearance of a heaven-defying demon dragon. Although it only had a suppressive aura and no actual combat power, it was enough to scare those low-level demons. The journey was much smoother than expected. Until they entered the Demon Mountain Range, Madul ate the 5th grade 6 magic crystal and maintained the appearance of a heaven-defying demon dragon. They did not encounter any trouble at all. In fact, with their current appearance, it was normal that they did not encounter any trouble. With the appearance of a demon hunter, not to mention ordinary patrolling soldiers, even a grade 7 or 8 demons might not dare to go forward to inspect the team. The Dragon Group Demon Hunter was a powerful existence at the core level. All the demons stood at their posts. For a time, a thick dark aura suddenly spread out from the demon army. It was also at this moment, at the place where the purple light lit up, there was a loud rumble. It seemed that the entire demon mountain range shook with this loud noise. Immediately afterward, the rumbling sound was like bursts of rolling thunder, constantly emitting violent roars on the high mountain peak. In the faintly discernible golden and purple light, a large number of rolling stones could be seen falling from the sky, crazily smashing down the mountain. At the same time, on the other side of the mountain peak, there was a similar rumbling sound, and a large number of boulders rolled down from the top. At this time, the demon army was passing through a col, and the rumbling stones were coming from the peaks on both sides. The demon army had only passed through halfway, and it was definitely too late to retreat. It was a situation where they couldn't advance or retreat. Although they were in the mountain range, the difference between the top and the bottom of the mountain was still more than a kilometer. These huge stones falling from the sky were terrifying, no less than the power of the level 6 earth magic, falling stone rain. Chapter 159. However, this army of demons was indeed powerful. They did not panic in the slightest in the face of such a sudden attack. All the infernal demons quickly gathered together, while the bear demons guarded the infernal demons one-on-one, quickly completing the pairing. The mad demons and the berserk demons dealt with each other separately. Among them, half of the demons flew into the air to intercept the falling rock. At the very least, they had to shatter the falling rocks and reduce their size. Moreover, some of the demons went straight to the top of the mountain on both sides to meet the challenge. They were extremely fast. There was no doubt that the surprise attack on both sides of the mountain came from Wang Yuanyuan and Sima Xian. They had a hard time finding such a suitable place to launch their attack. Long Haochen was not worried about their safety. Everyone had been fighting with the demons for so long, they naturally knew what to do. The demon mountain range was the best place to hide. With the spiritual stove, equipment, and their own cultivation, it would not be easy for the demons to catch up with them. They retreated after one attack, and would not give the enemy a chance to surround them. Long Haochen also took advantage of the time when the demons were busy dealing with the falling rocks to quickly summon the 4 holy guards. He briefly explained the current situation, including his goal: expose the enemy's tracks as much as possible, and delay the enemy's advance at the same time. Among the 4 holy guards, the other 3 looked at Holy Guard number 9 at the same time. Holy Guard number 9 thought for a moment, looked at the other 3 holy guards, then turned to Long Haochen and said, "Master, how important is delaying and killing these enemies to you?" Long Haochen said without hesitation, "Very, very important." Holy Guard number 9 nodded silently, turned to the other 3 holy guards, and said in a deep voice, "Lend me your power." Then he said to Long Haochen again, "Master, after helping you solve the problem this time, we will all have to sleep for at least a month before we can recover the consumed soul power through the Tower of Eternity." Long Haochen was shocked. Just as he was about to ask, the other 3 holy guards had already made their move. They moved in unison and quickly surrounded Holy Guard number 9. Then, their bodies began to tremble violently. The soul fire in his eye sockets throbbed violently. Long Haochen was shocked to see traces of milky white light separating from their eyes and rushing towards Holy Guard number 9's body. The auras of the 3 holy guards weakened at an alarming rate. On the other hand, Saint Guard 9 grew stronger at an alarming rate. He broke through from the peak of the 7th order to the 8th order in an instant and continued to grow. This is, Long Haochen understood what was going on after a brief moment of shock. Long Haochen's Type 7 cultivation was just enough to equip the shield with the Sun Moon Divine Snail Shield. Even so, he was still unable to display the full might of the Sun-Moon Divine Snail Shield. In other words, the Type 7 strength was the bottom line. If it were any other Type 7 powerhouse, if they had an epic grade shield, blocking the attack of a Type 8 powerhouse was nothing new. However, the Sun-Moon Divine Snail Shield was more compatible with Long Houchen's attributes, so it was easier for him to defend against it. After these few days of familiarizing himself with the shield, other than the fact that the shield could not be used at dawn and dusk, Long Houchen did not notice any other problems. Instead, he discovered some peculiarities of the Sun-Moon Divine Snail Shield. The size of the Sun-Moon Divine Snail Shield could be changed. At its largest, it could reach a diameter of 100 meters, and at its smallest, it could shrink to the size of a palm. The most powerful thing was that even if it shrunk to its largest size, the reduction in its defense was not particularly obvious. When it shrunk to its smallest size, its defense was shocking, perhaps comparable to that of a god weapon. The Devil Lord's attack was blocked, and his body paused in the air before landing on the ground. The Sun-Moon Divine Snail Shield's counterforce was not strong, but it still gave him a huge shock. It also made him feel that the enemy protected by the shield was very powerful. At this time, a group of great demons had already surrounded him. Without needing any instructions, they joined forces to attack Long Houchen. However, at this moment, Long Houchen gave off the feeling that he could do whatever he wanted, like a cool breeze caressing the hills. The shield wall formed by the Sun-Moon Divine Snail Shield was like a towering mountain. No matter how the enemy attacked, it would not budge. Of course, in the case of the enemy's attack, the spiritual power Long Houchen consumed to maintain the shield wall would increase. However, epic-level equipment was epic-level equipment. The Sun-Moon Divine Snail Shield only had one ability, which was defense. It consumed very little spiritual power for Long Houchen. At least, based on the current situation, it would not be a problem for the great demons to attack for a few hours. Roar! The Devil Lord roared at the sky, and waved the heavy sword in his hand in the air, emitting a sharp red light. The red light soared into the sky, and the light blade quickly rose into the air. This was a signal to the army that the enemy was troublesome and not easy to deal with. Next, the Devil Lord held the sword with both hands. Dense dark elements quickly gathered in his body, and the great demons quickly ran behind him, forming a row one after another. Wasn't this the demon's conjoined spirit-increasing skill? One had to know that Lin Xin used the crystal cores of the demons to research the conjoined spirit-increasing pill. Suddenly, the Devil Lord's aura increased exponentially, and the dense dark element's spiritual power surged wildly. The light on the dark red heavy sword in his hand became more and more intense, and gradually turned into dark red flames that rose and burned on the sword. The flames soared to the sky for more than 30 meters. It was really fierce and awe-inspiring. At this time, Long Houchen was abnormally calm. He was very clear that even if this Devil Lord received the conjoined spirit-increasing skill from his subordinates, his overall cultivation would not be able to break through to the 9th rank. The 9th rank was a huge bottleneck. Unless it was like the snake demon god Andamari, who relied on the powerful strength of the demon god pillar, it would be very difficult to break through. Therefore, this Devil Lord's next attack would at most be at the peak of the 8th rank. With the Sun-Moon Divine Snail Shield, Shield Wall, and Divine Block, Long Houchen was confident that he could block another attack. After this series of entanglements, coupled with the time it took for the demons to arrive, Long Houchen could clearly feel that Yuting's magic was about to be completed. The dark red flames suddenly gathered and turned into a huge light blade in the air. Wherever the light blade passed, the air exploded with a sound similar to rolling thunder. Large areas of the air were forcibly torn apart, and the terrifying spiritual power fluctuations caused the ground around Long Houchen and Yuting to collapse. Boom! The huge dark red light blade ruthlessly chopped the shield wall that was like a big orange, and a strange scene appeared. A circle of orange and a circle of dark red spread out in a parallel state. There was also a lazy dragon's roar in the air. In the next instant, all the demons behind the Devil Lord fell down. This was caused by the huge impact of the Devil Lord's attack. The Devil Lord himself took 6 to 7 steps back before he could stabilize himself. His hands that were holding the heavy sword were already numb. He never expected that he would still be able to break through his opponent's defense, even though he had already raised his strength to the peak of the 8th rank. Moreover, in the next moment, he was shocked to see streaks of brilliant golden light shooting into the sky like fireworks. Yes, not just one, but many streaks. The golden light was like a geyser, bringing with it a dazzling halo and incomparably dense light element as it shot into the sky. Every streak of golden light expanded at a terrifying speed as they rose, so much so that they did not seem to shrink as they rose into the sky. With a flash of golden light, Yiting had already fused into Long Houchen's chest and disappeared. She had already completed the magic, but as for the effects brought about by the magic, she no longer had the energy to continue watching. The orange light receded, and Long Houchen swept a cold glance at the Devil Lord. The 4 wings on his back flapped, and in a flash, he had already fled into the distance. Of course, the Devil Lord was unwilling to let Long Houchen go just like that. With a loud roar, he immediately flapped his huge wings and chased after him. Although Long Houchen had repelled the Devil Lord's attack just now, he did not feel good either. After all, that was a peak of the 8th rank's attack. The Sun-Moon Divine Snail Shield was indeed powerful. With the combination of the shield wall and divine defense block, Long Houchen did not suffer any shock. However, correspondingly, he consumed a lot of spiritual power. That attack just now had caused the spiritual power in Long Houchen's body to drop by a large margin. The more he used it, the more Long Houchen understood the mystical effects of the Sun-Moon Divine Snail Shield. He vaguely understood that with the ability of the Sun-Moon Divine Snail Shield, the enemy would not be able to cause any harm to him until his spiritual power was exhausted. However, it was clearly not a good time to fight with this 8th rank Devil Lord. He still had to support the 9th Holy Guard. Moreover, assisting Yiting in casting magic had consumed a lot of his spiritual power. Choosing to fight with the enemy at this time, especially when the enemy had reinforcements, was absolutely stupid. 4 wings were always faster than 2 wings. Although his cultivation was inferior to the opponent's, after Long Houchen suddenly flew up, it would not be easy for the 8th rank Devil Lord to catch up to him. In terms of flying, Long Houchen was the 10th Holy Guard's proud disciple. He twisted and turned in the air, making some difficult movements from time to time, using turns and sudden acceleration to neutralize the enemy's pursuit. At the same time, he was constantly absorbing the light elements in the air through his 4 wings and breathing to recover his consumed spiritual power. Just as Long Houchen and the Devil Lord were engaged in a battle of pursuit, on the other side, the power of Yiting's magic began to show. Huge golden balls of light with dazzling tails descended from the sky, heading straight for the demons' core position. Their targets were the Hell Demons. This magic came suddenly, and the magic that Yiting cast had reached the 8th rank. When the Demon King saw the golden balls of light descending from the sky, even the expression of the leading Devil Lord changed. Magic was different from other things. It required chanting time, and this was true for both humans and demons. He didn't expect that even the Tier 8 Demon Lord he sent out would fail to stop the other party's magic. Moreover, the other party even managed to cast such a powerful magic. Chapter 160. Long Houchen's void sword made the Demon Lord, who was about to attack, feel extremely awkward. The heavy sword that he had slashed out actually stopped in the air, because he felt that if he slashed out with this sword, then Long Houchen's sword that was spewing sharp golden light would definitely fall on him first. Therefore, he could only change his attack method. This pause naturally meant that he had a backup plan. This was the effect of the brilliant sword heart. At this moment, Long Houchen had already regarded himself as a part of the aria of the goddess of light, completely observing the opponent from the perspective of the sword. And when he slashed out with his sword, it was not because he observed the opponent's next move, but because he sensed it through the sword intent. Therefore, this seemingly light sword strike was actually aimed at the enemy's vital spot. It happened to be right in front of the enemy's path, and it immediately gave him the upper hand. Back then, even a Bao, who was stronger than this demon lord, suffered a great loss under Long Houchen's sword intent of being one with the sword. What's more, the current Long Houchen had a deeper understanding of the sword intent than before. Next, Long Houchen slashed out 7 times in a row, each slash hitting the air, and the spiritual power was stored inside. But it was these 7 slashes that forced the demon lord to retreat 7 times. When he retreated for the last time, he actually spat out a mouthful of black blood in the air. Imagine a Tier 8 powerhouse trying to use spiritual power to attack 7 times, but having to forcibly interrupt the use of his spiritual power each time. How strong would the backlash be? It could be said that Long Houchen relied on his swordsmanship to force the demon lord to injure himself. At this moment, the demon lord finally felt how powerful Long Houchen was. This human who seemed to only have a Tier 7 cultivation base already gave him a feeling of fatal threat. Therefore, he already had the idea of retreating. He was a high-level demon, unlike the dual-bladed demons and the mad demons who were not afraid of death. Unfortunately, Long Houchen didn't want to let him go. He slashed out 7 times in a row. Not only did he force his enemy to retreat, but he also injured himself. At the same time, Long Houchen's aura reached its peak. At this moment, one could clearly see that Long Houchen's entire body was glowing with an incandescent radiance. The holy sword skill could only be used on his own weapon, but at this moment, Long Houchen used his understanding of sword intent and his control of the light element as a blessed to make his entire body enter the state of the holy sword. At the same time, his right hand and arm became extremely transparent. Wasn't this the body of brilliant light? To put it simply, the previous 7 sword strikes were simply a process of him accumulating power. After the 7 consecutive sword strikes, the demon lord retreated and was injured. Long Houchen also paused for a moment. He did not pause because he did not have enough strength. On the contrary, it was because his aura had risen to its peak and was locking onto his opponent. Long Houchen held the hilt of the aria of the goddess of light with both hands. When he lifted the divine sword again, the demon lord suddenly felt as though a sun had suddenly passed through space and appeared in front of him. The sharp sword intent completely locked onto his body, so much so that he did not dare to retreat at all. At this moment, the powerful demon lord's mind actually went blank because he did not know what to do, let alone how to deal with this sword strike. However, all living creatures had survival instincts. After realizing how insignificant he was compared to his enemy, the Tier 8 demon lord made a prompt decision to bite the tip of his tongue, forcefully severing half of it. He then spat out a mouthful of blood, and a crimson glow enveloped his body. This was the Sky Demon disintegration technique that only high-tiered demons knew. Long Houchen had already seen this technique once when he fought against the snake demon god Andamari. However, the demon lord's Sky Demon disintegration technique was different from the one used by the snake demon god Andamari. Andamari's Sky Demon disintegration technique was at the demon god rank, which provided a greater boost to his body and had fewer side effects. Meanwhile, after this demon lord used the Sky Demon disintegration technique, even if he did not die, his cultivation base would drop from Tier 8 to Tier 6. Of course, compared to his life, the drop in cultivation base was nothing. The tyrannical light elemental fluctuations attracted the attention of the demon army on the other side. At this moment, the demon king had already issued the command to enter a state of highest alert. He had no idea how many enemies there were around him. Based on the Tier 8 Yoi spell, he could tell that the humans intercepting them were considerably strong. As the commander of such an elite army, he did not dare to be careless in the slightest. At this moment, layers of dark purple light surged out from the 500 hell demons. They were rapidly chanting incantations, and each hell demon held a blood-red crystal ball in their hands. That was their magic weapon. The dark purple light turned into a huge light barrier, enveloping the entire demon army within. They were already in a defensive position. With the combined defense of 500 hell demons, even a Tier 9 powerhouse would not be able to break through without a sufficiently powerful weapon. At this moment, the Demon King felt the intense light elemental fluctuations on the other side of the mountain. At this time, he could not care less about the life or death of his subordinate. To him, it was more important to protect the entire army. It was the first time Long Houchen had seen such a powerful scene. Although he had a high estimation of Holy Guard 9, he never thought that Holy Guard 9 could bring him such a huge surprise. He actually knocked down a mountain? For the demons, this could no longer be explained as a delay, but a fatal blow. While dodging the boulders in the air, Long Houchen's eyes showed unprecedented excitement. No matter how calm his mind was, it was impossible not to be excited at this time. He saw with his own eyes that at least 2/3 of the bear demons and hell demons were crushed under the mountain. Even those who escaped suffered the most direct and terrifying seismic shock wave after the mountain fell. Even Long Houchen, who was so far away, was shaken and sent flying backwards. Not to mention that he suffered it at such a close distance. This elite army of demons had been defeated. Ha ha! Long Houchen just laughed out loud, but his voice came to an abrupt halt. With a flash of golden light, his figure disappeared into thin air. He returned to the Tower of Eternity. Almost at the same time as he disappeared, a dark golden light swept past, and the next moment, the Demon King's hideous face full of hatred and anger was revealed. A human? Could it be that there was only one human? No, this was absolutely impossible. The blow in front of him was too huge for the Demon King. As the saying went, death before victory was achieved. The blow brought about by the collapse of this mountain to his army was indescribable. Although a small part of such a huge mountain had smashed into the mountain next to it, the heavy mountain still fell into the valley. If it were him, he might be able to drill a hole with his powerful spiritual power when the mountain fell to save his life temporarily. But he was a rank 9 and his subordinates were not rank 9. This army had been under his command ever since its establishment. Every powerhouse was carefully selected by him and had undergone strict training. They were only under the command of the Demon Emperor. When he was in this army, he was no longer the Demon King of the demons, but the commander of the God Emperor's Second Legion under the Demon Emperor. However, it was this elite army that he led that suffered a near-fatal blow before they could even see the human army. This was not only a humiliation, but also an incomparable failure. This was a crime that he could not bear. Who was that enemy? How could he disappear into thin air? What kind of ability was that? His spiritual energy fluctuations were clearly not strong. Could it be that he had just used a forbidden spell scroll? But he was of the light element. To be able to topple a mountain, it should at least be an earth element magic scroll. When Long Houchen disappeared, he clearly felt a scorching heat erupt from the eternal melody in his chest. This meant that there were powerful souls merging into the Tower of Eternity through the eternal melody. This naturally meant that the demon army, appearing out of thin air on the first floor of the Tower of Eternity, Long Houchen fell on his butt and couldn't help but laugh out loud. No matter how powerful the Demon King was, or how strong the Elite Legion was, I'd like to see how you can attack the humans now. I'll scare you to death. Holy Guard number 9, how did you do it? This is too fierce, it's completely beyond my imagination. Long Houchen subconsciously touched the golden skull on his chest. He couldn't help but think of the strange expression that Holy Guard number 9 had when he left. That was a kind of cruel, ferocious, and excited soul fluctuation. Obviously, Holy Guard number 9 had already decided what to do at that time. He was actually able to topple a mountain. Even though he borrowed the power of the other 3 Holy Guards, it was still terrifying. It was definitely a terrifying magic that was comparable to a forbidden spell. Yes, a forbidden spell. If the Alliance asked, perhaps they could only use an Earth-forbidden spell scroll to explain. In fact, although the magic that Holy Guard number 9 cast was powerful, it did not reach the strength of a forbidden spell. Or rather, it was only close to the edge of a forbidden spell. If it was a true Earth-type forbidden spell, its power would be terrifying in the mountain range. It wouldn't be as simple as toppling a mountain. A real Earth-forbidden spell could even shatter a mountain in an instant, turning it into a meteor shower that smashed towards the enemy. However, don't think that a rank 9 powerhouse could use a forbidden spell. Even a powerful rank 9 powerhouse with a spiritual power of over 200,000 might not have the ability to use a forbidden spell. Casting a forbidden spell required a strong affinity with the element that the user belonged to, as well as having the ability to complete the incantation. Forbidden spells had a lot of uncertainty. Forbidden spells were not necessarily strong. Only by casting the right forbidden spell at the right time could it have the power to destroy the world. Demons were outsiders after all. They did not originally belong to this world. Therefore, the forbidden spells of the demons were created in the past 6,000 years. Not to mention the small number of forbidden spells, the conditions to use them were extremely strict. Only the top 10 demon gods could definitely use forbidden spells. It was hard to say for the demon gods that were ranked lower. It would depend on the specific situation and comprehension of each generation's demon god. Although Holy Guard number 9 toppled a mountain, the amount of spiritual power he used was much less than a forbidden spell. Otherwise, how could he have completed it? Even so, this spell clearly showed the difference between him and the other 3 Holy Guard. Until Holy Guard number 9 completed the spell, Long Houchen finally understood why the other 3 Holy Guards respected him so much. What Holy Guard No. 9 just cast was a combination spell of the same element. The whole process was actually not that complicated. However, to complete it, not only did it require a huge amount of spiritual power, but it also required the support of the mountain. Moreover, it required precise calculation, control, adjustment of the rhythm of casting, finding the center of gravity, and other complicated processes. If the mountain was a little bigger, Holy Guard number 9 would not have been able to complete the spell. Reality proved that luck was still on the side of humans. Relying on his powerful earth elemental ability, Holy Guard number 9 directly drilled into the mountain and started destroying it from the inside. Of course, he did not destroy the entire mountain. Instead, he started destroying it from the inside, which was about 100 meters above the ground near the side of the demons. That was when Yating cast the spell and the demons were in a mess. The first spell that Holy Guard number 9 cast was called Rock to Mud. He softened a large amount of rocks and mobilized the heavy and stable earth elemental energy to surge upwards, causing a gap to appear inside the mountain. Then, he continued to expand the gap, causing the weight on top of the gap to increase. When the gap was big enough, he used all his strength to cast the gravity spell. Only then was he able to complete this imitation of the earth elemental forbidden spell, move the mountains and fill the seas. Not to mention the power of this spell, the creativity alone was far beyond the level of modern mages. Of course, Holy Guard number 9 paid a huge price for this. He and his holy guards would have to sleep for a long time. However, Long Houchen did not need them during this period of time. After entering the Temple League, he would not easily summon the holy guards to help him. After all, they were undead creatures, which could easily cause unnecessary misunderstandings. What a pity! After a short period of excitement, Long Houchen could not help but hit his left palm with his right fist. Yes, if the Temple League could ambush an elite team nearby and suddenly attack with the power of move the mountains and fill the seas, perhaps this elite army of demons would have to stay in the Demon Mountain range forever. His companions were still in the mountain range, so Long Houchen did not dare to delay any longer. He sat cross-legged and quickly recovered his spiritual energy. With his current cultivation, 3 spiritual orifices, and the constitution of a god's favored, the whole recovery process only took a quarter of an hour. The Tower of Eternity, which had just absorbed so many powerful souls, would not be stingy to its new owner, Long Houchen. The light elemental energy was rich, at least 10 times stronger than the outside world. With a faint golden light, Long Houchen returned to the Demon Mountain range. He tried his best to restrain the light that his spiritual energy could release. When he appeared, his figure flashed, and he went to the coniferous forest below. This was also the place that he had chosen before he left. The chaos in the distance had not ended, and Long Houchen could still hear the roars in the distance. The power of move the mountains and fill the seas had completely stalled the demons here. They were healing the wounded and the dying. After all, after this terrifying attack that was like a natural disaster, the number of injured far exceeded the number of dead. A short quarter of an hour was obviously not enough for the demons to solve the problem. Long Houchen did not try to approach again. He was very clear that the demons at this time were not only fragile, but also very sensitive. The rank 9 Demon King could not wait for him to appear. Raising his perception to the extreme, Long Houchen silently felt the movement in the distance, and a smile gradually appeared on his face. The damage of the demons was more serious than he had expected. Although he could not see the specific situation over there, he could feel that a large number of demons were lying on the ground. What made Long Houchen most comfortable was that when the mountain fell, the main ones that were smashed were the bear demons and hell demons. They were the strongest fighting force in this army, especially the 500 hell demons. Especially the 500 hellish demons. If they were placed on the battlefield, they would be equivalent to 500 magic shooters and archmages. But now, not many of them would be able to survive. Even if they were not smashed to death, they would be shocked to death. Without staying any longer, Long Houchen had done the best he could. Although the enemy was heavily injured, it was not something that their team of monster hunters could contend with. His goal had been achieved, so he naturally had to go back and meet up with his companions. Demon King Safin's heart was bleeding at this time. He was personally involved in digging up the mountain and rescuing his subordinates who had been smashed under. Relying on his powerful rank 9 strength, every time he struck, tens of square meters of rock would turn to ash, but there would not be any tremors. But what appeared in front of him were indistinct corpses that had been crushed into meat paste. He had done a simple head count, and gathered the mad demons that had escaped on the other side. The entire army had only a little more than a third of them unscathed. Less than 2/3 of them had survived. At least 1,000 strong demon warriors had fallen under the mountain. This was a loss that Safin could not afford to bear. Furthermore, he had nowhere to vent his anger. Roar! Safin roared at the sky, and threw a few punches at the mountain in front of him. The explosions sent rocks flying, and huge holes were blasted out. Don't let me find out who it is! Don't let me find out who it is! Demon King Safin roared at the sky once more. In his mind, the image of the golden silhouette that had suddenly vanished appeared. 4 wings, he had 4 wings. Pass down my orders, take the wounded and retreat. Their ambush had failed, and they had suffered heavy losses. Many of his demon warriors were injured. He had no other choice but to retreat. The Temple League had most likely found out about the situation here. If they did not leave now, they might not even be able to leave. Carrying a thick unwillingness and overflowing hatred, the Demon King, commander of the God Emperor's Second Legion, Safin, led his subordinates and retreated along the path they came from. "Boss, how did you do that?" When Long Houchen regrouped with his companions at the top of the mountain, he was immediately surrounded by them. Although they were far from the scene of the incident, the terrifying rumble from the collapse of the mountain had probably spread throughout the entire mountain range. They had naturally heard such a huge commotion. Long Houchen recounted the entire process, and everyone was dumbfounded. "Holy Guard 9 is that strong? He couldn't have cast a forbidden spell, right?" Lin Xian had a look of envy. Relying on a single demon to stop such a powerful army, for a mage like him, this was too shocking. Long Houchen shook his head and said, "I can be sure that it wasn't a forbidden spell. He probably took advantage of the terrain and added some special spellcasting ability. However, you really should learn from the Holy Guards. Be it experience or strength, they are far beyond our reach. There are still many things to learn." Wang Yuanyuan said, "Commander, since they have already been crippled, do you think they will continue to advance?" Long Houchen shook his head and said, "On the way back, I already discovered that they were retreating. Their target was exposed and they suffered such a blow. As long as the commander isn't an idiot, he definitely won't continue to lead the army forward. This mountain range may be lacking in other things, but it's not lacking in mountains. If they are crushed again, won't they go crazy? This is also good. The next time the demon army has the idea of sneaking into the mountain range, they will probably be traumatized. Who knows if that mountain will suddenly collapse?" Everyone laughed at the same time. With such a result, they could be completely proud of themselves. When the demon army truly retreated from the mountain range, the sky was gradually turning bright. The light of dawn belonged to humans who loved light, but for the demons, this was a crushing defeat. When Long Houchen heard this answer, the first thing he felt was inconceivable. The second thing he felt was still inconceivable. How is this possible? Even if I escaped from a bow and caused a lot of trouble for the demons, every monster hunter is doing the same. Is there a need for the Demon Emperor to make a big fuss over a minor issue and start a holy war just for me? The fourth hidden chivalry assassin smiled bitterly. No one understands why the Demon Emperor did this. However, this is his reason. He wants the Alliance to hand you over. Otherwise, he will start a holy war. This is his only request. It was not only Long Houchen who had a strange expression on his face. How could his companions not be the same? A holy war that concerned the survival of the demons and humans was actually started because of Long Houchen. This reason was too incomprehensible. Sima Xian couldn't help but say, "Is it because the Demon Emperor knows that we destroyed a demon god pillar?" However, the news can't be that fast. Even if he knew, he shouldn't have reacted so early. What did you say? You destroyed a demon god pillar?" The fourth hidden chivalry assassin felt that his heart's endurance was starting to drop. He felt that his worldview was starting to have problems. Such a commander-grade demon hunt squad was able to destroy a demon god pillar? How is this possible? How is this possible? Long Houchen was also completely confused at this time. He immediately denied Sima Xian's statement and said, "It can't be because of this. No matter how hasty it is to start a holy war, the demons would still need a month's time. At that time, we were still in Great Jacques City. Is the Demon Emperor crazy?" At this time, His heart was a little confused. He also didn't understand why the demon emperor did this. He also didn't understand why he had inexplicably become the demon emperor's target. Moreover, it was at the cost of a holy war. Kai suddenly said, "Then did the alliance agree to the demon emperor's conditions?" She, who had been confused after losing her memory, suddenly asked such a crucial question. The others immediately became vigilant. Yes, did the alliance agree to the demon emperor's conditions? After all, no matter how talented Long Houchen was, he was only one person. And if the demons started such a holy war, it would lead to the destruction of the people. It was not impossible for the alliance to give up on Long Houchen. It was only because Long Houchen didn't return that he confronted the demons. If that was really the case, then, now everyone looked at each other and couldn't help but feel a strong sense of worry. The eyes of the General Class Monster Hunt 64 team were also focused on the fourth hidden chivalry, waiting for his answer. Chapter 162. Hearing Kai-Er's question, Hidden Hero number 4 chuckled and said, "Agree? How could I agree? If I agreed, would the Demon Emperor still send his elite Second Divine Emperor Legion to ambush us?" The Alliance has two opinions regarding the conditions proposed by the Demon Emperor. The first opinion mainly comes from the Knights Templars, the leaders of our Assassin Temple, and the Warrior Temple. They strongly oppose handing over Long Houchen, and there is no room for negotiation. Especially the Knights Templars. The Knights Templars expressed that if the Alliance's final decision is to hand over Long Houchen, then the Knights Templars will choose to leave the Alliance. Ah! Hearing Hidden Hero number 4's words, Long Houchen instantly felt a surge of hot blood rushing to his head. The agitation of his emotions caused his body to tremble uncontrollably. The Knights Templars are actually leaving the Alliance for me? Hidden Hero number 4 continued, the Warrior Temple's reaction isn't any less intense than the Knights Templars's. Chiao Yonghao directly slammed the table in the meeting with his eyes wide open. Speaking of which, Temple Master Yang Haohan of the Knights Templars is still our Alliance's leader. Originally, he wouldn't have been so eager to express his stance, but he was forced by Temple Master Chiao Yonghao. Chiao Yonghao said in the meeting that if the Knights Templars are prepared to give up on you, then the Warrior Temple will do everything in its power to take over the task of protecting you. Then there's our Assassin Temple. Temple Master Xing Yu said that you are his grandson-in-law. Whoever intends to hand you over will have to step over his dead body first. At this point, Hidden Hero number 4's expression became a little strange. During the meeting, as a representative of the Assassin Temple, he was also present. He clearly remembered the strange situation. The representatives of the 6 major temples had just sat down and hadn't started discussing when the Warrior Temple Master Chiao Yonghao was the first to speak. Then, the Alliance Master said that Long Houchen is the only heir of the Knights Templars. If the Alliance ultimately decides to hand over Long Houchen, then the Knights Templars will leave the Alliance. Coupled with Xing Yu's statement, the entire place fell into a strange silence. Then, it was Hero Xing Yu jumping up and down, leaving the 3 major temples stunned. At first, the heroic hidden assassin didn't think much of it. Wasn't he just a young man who wasn't even 20 years old? Even if he was extremely talented, even if the Alliance did not intend to hand him over, there was no need for the Hall Masters to be so emotional. However, after seeing him today, there was a clear change in his attitude. That's right, a commander-grade monster hunters was able to block the God Emperor's 2nd Legion's sneak attack on the Exorcist Mountain Pass. Moreover, he was able to reduce the number of monster hunters by a 5th and injure more than a 3rd. How could the 3 Temple Masters not be concerned? If this young man is given enough time, he will definitely become a legend of the Alliance in the future. After hearing Hidden Hero number 4's words, Long Houchen wasn't just excited. At this moment, it was as if a fire was burning in his heart. There had never been a moment where his heart was so firm. He had never thought that the 3 Temple Masters would love him so much for him. Only by doing his utmost for the alliance could he repay this deep love. Hidden Hero number 4 continued. When the three temple masters expressed their stance, the atmosphere of the meeting changed. Originally, many of the temple's upper echelons weren't familiar with you. But now you have become famous. Afterwards, the Magic Temple's temple master appeared to appease the three temple masters. The Magic Temple's temple master told everyone to calm down and carefully analyze the Demon Emperor's condition. First of all, the Demon Emperor used a person as a bargaining chip to decide whether or not to start the Holy War. This in itself is abnormal. There are only two possibilities. The first is that he originally planned to start the Holy War and was just looking for an excuse. And since you have already been captured by the demons, it is even more impossible for us to hand you over. The second is that your existence is a threat to the demons' rule. Only then would the Demon Emperor attach such importance to you. And no matter what the situation is, it is impossible for us to hand you over. Therefore, the three temple masters don't need to be so emotional. This is just being worried. Hearing Hidden Hero number 4's words, Long Houchen's companions finally heaved a sigh of relief. Since the alliance had reached a consensus, then Long Houchen was naturally safe. Hidden Hero number 4 smiled and said, The next part of the meeting is more interesting. Long Houchen, your background has been completely dug out, and the Knights Templars can no longer hide anything about you. After all, this concerns the entire alliance. The second half of the meeting became a discussion about your situation. Han Yu asked, Then how did the alliance arrange the leader? Hidden Hero number 4 said, This wasn't mentioned at the time. It was a private discussion between the temple masters. I don't know the specifics, but the higher-ups gave orders to bring you to the nearest fortress as soon as you are discovered to return. I'm sure when you meet Temple Master Xingyu, you will know the answer. At least it won't be a bad thing. In the process of flying to the Exorcist Mountain Pass, Hidden Hero number 4 once again saw how extraordinary the monster hunters were. Apart from Long Houchen, the other people's spiritual energy wasn't enough to continue flying for such a long time. But they couldn't withstand the existence of Han Yu, an aerial refueling machine. Halfway through the flight, when everyone's spiritual energy was almost exhausted, he directly activated his Light's-blessed spiritual stove, helping his companions recover their spiritual energy in a short period of time. Even Hidden Hero number 4 enjoyed the powerful effects of the Light's-blessed spiritual stove. What kind of knowledge did Hidden Hero number 4 have? He could naturally see that this was a rare auxiliary spiritual stove. Moreover, he had never even heard of the existence of this spiritual stove. Originally, he was only interested in Long Houchen, but now, his interest in his entire team was greatly increased. Yes, under a strong general, there were no weak soldiers. Long Houchen's strength was astonishing, so how could his companions be inferior? However, there was a question in his heart that he didn't ask. Long Houchen and the others said that they used earth element scrolls, but through observation, the magicians in his team weren't earth element. To be precise, there was no earth element person in his team. The Exorcist Mountain Pass was as magnificent as before, but compared to the last time Long Houchen and the others came, the current Exorcist Mountain Pass was much more lively. The city was bustling with people coming and going, and almost all of these busy people were related to defending the city. Long Houchen and the others even saw soldiers escorting magic cannons and other heavy weapons towards the top of the city wall. After obtaining accurate information from Hidden Hero number 4, Long Houchen's heart was somewhat heavy. How intelligent was he? After experiencing so many things, if he still couldn't guess why Demon Emperor would use him as a condition to blackmail the Temple League, then he wouldn't be worthy of being a god's favored. Haoyue, my good brother, just what is your origin? In your own world, you are called the terrifying wrath of heaven. This time, even Demon Emperor is so afraid of you that he didn't hesitate to launch a holy war. Is your potential really that terrifying? Yes, Long Houchen could be sure that Demon Emperor didn't launch such a holy war for him, even if he was a god's favored. In the history of the demons and humans, it wasn't like God's favored had never appeared. For example, wasn't the son of Samsara also a God's favored? It was impossible for a God's favored to make all the demons go to war, because it simply wasn't worth it. Recalling all the things that happened to Haoyue, the answer easily appeared in Long Houchen's heart. The first time he encountered a demon god was in the Exorcist Mountain Pass. At that time, there were 3 demon gods ranked at the bottom. At that time, Long Houchen still vaguely remembered that before he fainted, he seemed to have heard Haoyue's roar. In the end, he was saved. Although he didn't know what Haoyue did at that time, it was very likely that he intimidated those demon gods, allowing him to return to the Exorcist Mountain Pass with his future father-in-law, Sheng Lingxin, and not die on the battlefield. Not long after, he met Demon Emperor for the first time. At that time, Demon Emperor personally came for Haoyue. At that time, Haoyue only had 3 heads. Although he didn't know why Demon Emperor's spiritual search failed, it was clear that Demon Emperor knew that Haoyue would bring disaster to the demons in the future. Therefore, he rushed to the Exorcist Mountain Pass in such a hurry. What happened next made Long Houchen's memory even more clear. More than once, when he encountered powerful demons, Haoyue's roar released a purple aura that made those demons retreat. This also included a bow. And finally, what confirmed Long Houchen's guess was the operation in the Dark Swamp. He never thought that Haoyue would be able to do what humans couldn't in 6,000 years. The first time he destroyed a demon god pillar of the demons. It was no wonder that Demon Emperor attached so much importance to Haoyue. Haoyue's existence was indeed a threat to the demons. If he and Haoyue were allowed to mature, then in the near future, perhaps the demons would really be destroyed by his and Haoyue's hands. If such a day really came, it would really be great. Regarding Haoyue, Long Houchen never doubted anything. He and Haoyue were one and the same. Part of each other's blood flowed in their bodies. Long Houchen could be sure that his growth in the light attribute naturally came from his physique as a god's chosen. But in terms of external spiritual power, his strength now far surpassed his companions. Most likely, it was still because of Haoyue. Not to mention, when Haoyue evolved, it also led to his evolution, greatly increasing his spiritual power. Of course, he couldn't hand over Haoyue. Even if he died, he had to protect Haoyue. Of course, if he really died, under the effect of the contract, Haoyue would probably die with him. However, Long Houchen's heart was now very uncomfortable, even depressed. In any case, this holy war started by the demons was because of him and Haoyue. The collision of tens of millions of demons and millions of human armies, what kind of suffering would it cause? It was unknown how many soldiers and civilians would die because of this war. Although this holy war would probably happen sooner or later, as the fuse, he had a heavy responsibility in his heart. Hidden Knight No. 4 directly brought Long Houchen and the others to a conference room in the Assassin Temple, then hurriedly went to report. Without outsiders, everyone subconsciously cast their eyes on Long Houchen. Everyone's emotions were a little complicated. Only Kaer was slightly at a loss. When she walked into the Assassin Temple, there was a slight change in her expression. Vaguely, Kaer seemed to feel that this place was very familiar. "Boss, will it be okay?" Lin Xian looked at Long Houchen with some worry. The news of the demon's large-scale invasion and the Demon Emperor starting this holy war had a huge impact on the General Tier Monster Hunt 64, not to mention that Long Houchen himself was the core of this storm. How could his companions not be worried? Long Houchen shook his head without hesitation and said, "It will be fine. We just need to listen to the Alliance's arrangements. You heard what Hidden Knight No. 4 said just now. I only want to fight for the Alliance now." "Yes, fight for the Alliance." Sima Xian's eyes flashed fiercely as if he couldn't wait to rush into the battlefield immediately. The others also nodded slightly, feeling a lot more at ease. Long Houchin was the soul of this team. Although it couldn't be said that he never made mistakes in previous missions, at least he rarely made them. As long as he could calm down and think that nothing would happen, the others would naturally feel much more at ease. In fact, how could Long Houchin not feel complicated at this time? Only he truly understood that the Demon Emperor really started this holy war because of him and Haoyue. If he stood up, perhaps this holy war could end. But, could he do that? The answer was, of course, no. This was a war between two races. Even without him as the fuse, with the continuous development of humans, this holy war would come sooner or later. Moreover, although Long Houchin was the son of the light, he also cherished his life. More importantly, the one who had to give up his life to end this holy war was not him, but his good companion and good brother, Haoyue. Humans were selfish. No matter how kind and bright Long Houchin's heart was, he was still a human. He also had selfish motives. How could he watch Haoyue throw away his life just like that? That was impossible. However, he also didn't want to see the alliance being destroyed in the war. Therefore, his heart was in a mess now. He had already thought it through. No matter what the alliance's final decision was, even if they had to hand him over, he would fully support the alliance's decision. Moreover, he had already decided to report the secret of Haoyue's threat to the demons to the alliance. Everything would be decided by the alliance. It was painful for Long Houchin to make such a decision, but at the same time, he felt much more relaxed after making this decision. At least he could live up to his own feelings. The worst-case scenario was that the Temple Alliance would hand him over. If that was the case, he would choose to die together with Haoyue. Hidden Hero Number 4 was very efficient. The surrounding space suddenly distorted slightly. Long Houchin's gaze instantly sharpened as he locked onto a position. His right hand moved slightly, but it immediately returned to normal. In the next instant, a gray figure stepped out of the void. Wasn't it the assassin temple master, Hero Xingyu? Xingyu saw Long Houchin at a glance due to the aura, and he happened to see him retract his hand. A strange look appeared in his eyes, and the second person he looked at was naturally Kai. When Kai-er's eyes met Xingyu's, her body suddenly trembled slightly. The confusion in her eyes seemed to open a gap as she stared blankly at Xingyu. Her entire body seemed to have stiffened. Xingyu thought that it was because his great-granddaughter was excited to see him, so he didn't pay any more attention to Kai. Instead, he shifted his gaze back to Long Houchin. However, he didn't say a word. He raised his hand and grabbed at Long Houchin's head. With Xingyu's strength, a murderous intent burst forth as he stretched out his 5 fingers. The temperature in the entire meeting room dropped rapidly, and a terrifying pressure appeared around Long Houchin. Who would have thought that this hero would make a move as soon as he appeared? Moreover, Xingyu was so fast that he was already in front of Long Houchin by the time he raised his arm. The others didn't even have a chance to react when he grabbed at them. Long Houchin's reaction was extremely fast. When Xingyu's gaze focused on him again, he already sensed danger. He was originally sitting on the chair, but he didn't stand up at this moment because time didn't allow him to stand up. He kicked the table in front of him with his right foot, and he slid backward along with the chair. At the same time, he pointed at the void with his right forefinger like a knife. It could be seen that Long Houchin's right index finger and middle finger had turned into a transparent golden crystal in an instant. With an ear-piercing whistling sound, a sword aura shot directly into the void. Not only that, Long Houchin's body swayed slightly, and a layer of orange light had already enveloped him. Poof! The golden sword aura pierced straight into Xingyu's palm, causing the hero's right claw to pause for a moment. When his right claw fell again, it hit the shield wall set up by the Sun Moon Divine Snail Shield. Long Houchin's shield wall skill was completely instantaneous. Coupled with the stab that was filled with sword aura, Xingyu's right hand actually slid across the shield wall. The orange light of the Sun Moon Divine Snail Shield shone brightly, and it was pushed backward. However, it didn't hurt Long Houchen's body. The team's teamwork showed at this moment. Although no one understood why Xing Yu attacked Long Houchen, they had fought together with Long Houchen many times. As a result, when Long Houchen's side made a move, the others almost immediately took action. Sima Xian swung his right hand, and the vigorous ball of light smashed towards Xing Yu with a sharp whistling sound. Moreover, it blocked in front of Xing Yu, preventing him from continuing to attack Long Houchen. At the same time, a loud and clear phoenix cry was heard. Lin Xin activated his heart's flame phoenix without hesitation. They were facing a rank 9 hero, how could they not use their full strength? Han Yu's wild blood slashed out with a crazy aura, and it directly slashed at Xing Yu's lower body, sweeping towards Xing Yu's knees. Wang Yuanyuan's divine soul shield flew out, and her attack was directly aimed at Xing Yu's neck. He was above and below Han Yu. In addition, Sima Xian was in front of him. It could be said that he had sealed off all of Xing Yu's escape routes. What shocked Xing Yu even more was that at the same time these fellows made their move, a monstrous aura suddenly burst forth. The terrifying dragon might of the heaven-defying demon dragon instantly filled the entire conference room. Not to mention here, the entire assassin temple could probably feel the existence of this dragon might. The only one who did not move at all was Kai. She was still in a completely sluggish state, standing there in a daze. No one knew what she was thinking. Xing Yu was indeed worthy of being a hero, the Assassin Temple's temple master. Faced with the siege of these young people, although he was shocked, his reaction was not slow at all. He took half a step forward and his figure flashed. First, he avoided the side of the vigorous light ball, and then his right hand slashed at the vigorous light ball. At the same time, his body floated horizontally, and both his legs kicked out at the same time to meet the attacks of Wang Yuanyuan and Han Yu. These young people were only at the rank 6 cultivation base, and Xing Yu was at the rank 9. Therefore, although he did not underestimate them, he could not use his full strength. Hence, he could only use the simplest spiritual energy and rely on his instincts to fight. However, Xing Yu did not expect that he was really careless today. He had really underestimated the strength of a general-class monster hunt 64. In particular, he had underestimated the power of Sima Xian's vigorous light ball. When Xing Yu's right hand slashed at the vigorous light ball, he thought that although this weapon looked very heavy, Sima Xian's spiritual energy was worlds apart from his, so he would definitely be sent flying. At the same time, with the help of the recoil, he could kick away the attacks of the other two people, and then deal with the blue fire phoenix that was already whistling over. However, as soon as his right hand touched the vigorous light ball, Xing Yu knew that he was wrong. This seemingly stupid weapon was much more terrifying than he had imagined. Amidst the ear-piercing explosion, Xing Yu only felt a strong force in his hand. It was the vigorous light ball's crushing, absorption, and triple explosion. If that was all, with Xing Yu's spiritual energy of more than 100,000, he would not be hurt at all. However, the point was that when the vigorous light ball was used, Sima Xian had already used his spiritual stove of purple godly thunder. Therefore, the moment when Xing Yu's right hand touched it, purple lightning suddenly exploded and directly spread through his palm to Xing Yu's whole body. It was impossible for the spiritual stove of purple godly thunder to hurt Xing Yu, whose spiritual energy was so strong. However, the numbness caused by the lightning took effect. For a strong person at Xing Yu's level, he would not do anything meaningless in a battle. Therefore, although the spiritual stove of purple godly thunder only paralyzed him for less than a second, it destroyed all of his original plans. His two kicks froze in the air for a moment, then they collided with the wild red blood ball and the divine giant soul shield. No matter how strong Xing Yu was, he was only a physical body, and the two weapons he collided with were legendary-grade equipment. Wang Yuanyuan and Han Yu were kicked away, but Xing Yu did not feel good either. On one side there was space, and on the other side there was crazy light. The two powerful attributes, under the enhancement of legendary grade equipment, caused his already numb body to become even more sluggish. At this moment, the blue fire phoenix had already arrived. Blazing flames rose in an instant, and a terrifying power almost engulfed Xing Yu's body. Heart Flame Phoenix, this was the only skill to fuse with the spiritual stove, and every time Lin Xian used it, he would suffer a strong backlash. Back then, when he first obtained this skill, he used it to stop the 8th grade Zombie King, and even caused serious damage to the Zombie King. Xing Yu's hero was naturally not something the Zombie King could compare to, but the problem was that Lin Xian's control of the fire element was getting better and better. Therefore, when he attacked, the heat of his Heart Flame Phoenix was always reserved, and only exploded after the collision. "You little bastards!" Xing Yu cursed loudly. A sparkling and translucent gray light suddenly burst forth, and the sharp qi seemed to cut the throat of the blue flame phoenix. The terrifying power disappeared in a flash, and everything returned to normal. One kick at a time. Including Long Haochen, who had just finished protecting himself with the shield wall, the other men were all sent flying by Xing Yu's kick. Moreover, they crashed into each other, becoming a group of fellow sufferers. However, Xing Yu did not chase after them, because he was confronting the heaven-defying demon dragon, which occupied almost half of the conference room, with a strange expression. And they were confronting each other with extreme vigilance. Keep it. Sir Hero doesn't mean any harm. Although Long Haochen grimaced in pain from the kick, he still hurriedly said, "The dragon might of the heaven-defying demon dragon was too strong, and it would not be good if it caused unnecessary misunderstanding in the Assassin Temple." A black light flashed, and under the dumbfounded gaze of Xing Yu, the previously aggressive heaven-defying demon dragon had turned into a cute little pig in the next instant. It wriggled in Chen Ying'er's bosom and even looked at Xing Yu provocatively. The corners of Xing Yu's mouth and eyes twitched almost at the same time, and he could not help but scold again. "You little bastards. Do you have to be so cruel? Am I a demon?" Hero Xing Yu's current appearance was somewhat unflattering. Many parts of his clothes were charred, and even a part of his hair was burnt. The left side of his face was a little red. That appearance was really a little embarrassing. At this time, Xing Yu wanted to find a hole to hide in, and he scolded himself in his heart. "Why did I try it out? I'm just asking to be humiliated. This group of little bastards, don't they know how to be merciful?" Of course, he would not say that out loud. He stared at Long Haochen and the others who were crawling up from the ground, and said angrily, "You've grown up, haven't you? How dare you fight with me? Fine, you little bastards, I'm going to teach you a good lesson. A great-grandfather, please spare us. We didn't mean it." Long Haochen hurriedly smiled and greeted Xing Yu, giving him a junior's salute. Xing Yu snorted and said, "You're the worst, you little bastard. Do you know how much you've worried us? What's wrong with me teaching you a lesson? Look at you little bastards, your reactions are pretty quick. Do I have such a deep hatred for you?" Looking at Xing Yu's pathetic appearance, everyone naturally understood that this hero was just testing Long Haochen. They wanted to laugh, but did not dare to, and lowered their heads in silence. Humph. You've grown up, huh?" Xing Yu raised his hand and knocked Long Haochen's head. It was so painful that Long Haochen grimaced in pain, but did not dare to make a sound. He did not expect Xing Yu to be so careless and be put in such a difficult position. It seemed that he had to let this old man vent his anger. Xing Yu was feeling extremely depressed right now. That was because he realized that he truly did not know how to vent his anger. Moreover, after calming down, he was secretly shocked. Even if he was a little careless, he was still a rank 9 powerhouse with more than 100,000 spiritual energy points. What kind of equipment did these little guys have? Almost all of them were at the legendary level. They should have just advanced to the general level monster hunters not long ago. Where did they get so much good equipment? Especially Long Haochen. His shield was orange-red. Was it at the epic stage? The strength of Long Houchen and the others made Xing Yu feel a little overwhelmed. One must know that the last time he saw these young people, they were at most rising stars. This time, they could directly put a show of strength to a hero like him. This was not something that could be explained by the word progress. It was simply a leap. You're at the rank 7 level? Xing Yu subdued his anger and asked Long Houchen subconsciously. He clearly remembered that when Long Houchen used his finger as a sword to point out that sword energy, he had already reached the realm of the body of brilliant light. Long Houchen nodded and said, "Yes, a great-grandfather." Xing Yu was even more shocked. Guessing was one thing, but confirming it was another. How old was Long Houchen? He was definitely less than 20 years old. The last time he saw him, he was only 14 or 15. It had only been a few years, and he was already at the rank 7 level? No wonder Demon Emperor insisted on taking Long Houchen away. Rank 7? He was really at the rank 7 level? How old was he when he was at the rank 7 level? I think he was 35? Xing Yu's gaze swept across the crowd once more. His expression had already regained its calmness. Of course, his grave and stern face and his battered appearance were somewhat. Of course, Long Houchen and the others did not dare to laugh out loud. At this moment, there was a violent knock on the door outside the conference room. "It's fine here. I asked someone to imitate the heaven-defying demon dragon's draconic aura." Xing Yu shouted. He could not let his subordinates see him like this. Did he still want his face? Hearing Xing Yu's voice, the outside immediately quieted down. Xing Yu stared at Long Houchen for a while, then nodded and said, "Not bad. These years, it seems that you have matured a lot and your strength has increased a lot. You're finally back. Hidden Hero number 4 has already told you. The Holy War has begun." Long Houchen nodded and said, "A great-grandfather, this all started because of me. I am willing to let the Alliance deal with me." "Deal with you?" Xing Yu's voice suddenly rose a few octaves. "Deal with you, my ass? What do you mean it started because of you? Are you qualified? Why are you looking for trouble for yourself? If you want to get beaten up, just say it. Is the holy war between the demons and the Alliance something that a small person like you can decide?" Although Xing Yu's words were not pleasant to hear and were full of reprimand, Long Houchen's heart felt warm. He could naturally hear the strong sense of protection in Xing Yu's words. Long Houchen took a deep breath and said, "A great-grandfather, it really started because of me. Listen to me, this matter is very important to the Alliance. No matter what the Alliance decides, I have no complaint. But I can't hide it from the Alliance. I also believe that the Alliance will make the right decision." Looking at Long Houchen's solemn expression, Xing Yu suddenly realized that the situation was not as simple as he thought. With a slight frown, he raised his hand and a sharp chi quickly spread out, protecting the entire conference room. "What do you want to say?" Xing Yu's brows furrowed. Long Houchen said, "A great-grandfather, I can confirm that the Demon Emperor started this holy war because of me. Even my companions don't know why, but as the person involved, I know very well. Knowing that the holy war is about to start, I am very sad. I really don't want to see people die because of me. But this matter concerns my closest companion. I have no way to hand it over. So, I ask the Alliance to make the final decision. No matter how the Alliance deals with me, I am willing to accept it." Hearing how serious he was, not only did Xing Yu's expression turn ugly, but the General Class Monster Hunt 64 members, other than Kair who was in a daze, also widened their eyes in shock. When they knew that the Holy War started because the Demon Emperor wanted to Long Houchen, they were also full of doubts, but they couldn't think of the reason. Hearing Long Houchen's words, this holy war was actually related to him. Xing Yu's cheek muscles showed obvious signs of wriggling, but his voice became gentle. "Child, don't be anxious. A great-grandfather believes in your character. Remember, No matter what happens, a great-grandfather will stand with you. No one can deal with my great-grandson. Also, you have to remember that what you just said must never be said to anyone else. Even within the Alliance, not everyone is like us. Now, say what you want to say. As long as a great-grandfather can do it, I will do my best to help you. Looking at Xing Yu's concerned gaze, Long Houchen nodded his head vigorously. He had an urge to cry. Xing Yu was Kai Er's great-grandfather. At this moment, he really felt a strong sense of kinship from this bad-tempered hero. And kinship would always be the weakest spot in Long Houchen's heart. A great-grandfather, when we left the Alliance, we accepted a total of 16 killing missions. In less than half a year, we have completed all of them. Among these missions, the most difficult one was to kill the last of the 72 demons, the snake demon god Andamari. Xing Yu was shocked once again. What? Are you saying that you killed a demon god? Snake demon god Andamari? Long Houchen nodded his head. To a large extent, it was luck. Then, he told in detail how he and his companions found out that the snake demon god was in the Dark Swamp, as well as their encounter in the Dark Swamp, all the way until they took advantage of the Anaconda King and Andamari's mutual destruction to kill it. Good job. To be able to kill a demon god under the protection of a demon god pillar, even Overlord-tier monster hunters may not be able to do it. Your average age is just over 20 years old, yet you have such achievements. This is really the Alliance's fortune. No matter how harsh Xing Yu was, after listening to Long Houchen's story, he couldn't help but praise it. These children had risked their lives to kill a demon god at such a young age. This achievement was really too great. Chapter 163. Long Houchen continued. After killing the snake demon god Andamari, we went to his demon god pillar and tried to destroy it. But the demon god pillar was extremely hard. Xing Yu smiled. That's for sure. You don't have to feel discouraged. How many legend ranker monster hunters have tried to destroy the demon god pillar, but to no avail? It's been 6,000 years. The thing that makes us feel the most helpless about the demons are the 72 demon god pillars. This is also the root of the demons. As long as these 72 demon god pillars exist, it will be very difficult for the demons to truly wither away. You don't have to feel sad about this. Wait until you become stronger before thinking of a solution. It's a pity that the son of Samsara from our assassin temple, who could destroy the demon god pillar, fell too early. Otherwise, we might have created a miracle. Long Houchen said seriously, but we succeeded. Success is good, right? Succeeded? What did you say succeeded? Xing Yu jumped up in shock. He was very skinny, so when he jumped, he looked like a huge ape. Long Houchen said, we succeeded in destroying the demon god pillar. In this world, there will no longer be a snake demon god Andamari. It's hard to say if his snake demons will be able to continue. Xing Yu's eyes widened. He maintained this posture for a full 10 seconds without moving. Yu, is what you said true? You actually destroyed a demon god pillar? No, this is impossible. So many powerhouses have not been able to do it. Even if you are blessed by the heavens, each of you is talented, but what cultivation do you have? How can you destroy a demon god pillar? Impossible, this is absolutely impossible. Seeing Xing Yu's abnormal expression, Long Houchen smiled bitterly. A great-grandfather, but we did it. This is also the main reason why the Demon Emperor wanted to use me as a condition to start the Holy War. Xing Yu's abnormality lasted for a few minutes before he calmed down. You mean, you have a special ability that can deal with the demon god pillars? Long Houchen nodded. You could say that, but it wasn't me. It was my magical beast companion, Haoyue. I believe my companions have felt it as well. Haoyue was a very unusual magical beast. Until now, no one could tell what kind it was. However, it can use a special ability. This ability doesn't seem to have much effect on humans, but it is destructive to demons. especially the demon god pillar. Haoyue sacrificed his life force to help us destroy the pillar. If I guessed correctly, the demon emperor wanted me because he knew that Haoyue was a threat to the demons. I have a blood contract with Haoyue. As long as I die, it will be difficult for Haoyue to live alone. In the general class Monster Hunt 64, it was impossible to say that no one had guessed this. However, at this moment, everyone's mind was in a mess. After hearing what Long Houchen said, everyone was more certain of their thoughts. For a moment, the atmosphere in the entire conference room became heavy. There was no doubt that for the Temple League, it was a great thing to have the power to destroy the demon god pillars. However, now the demons had launched a holy war that would not end until one side was dead. Did the Temple League really have enough strength to resist this holy war? No one knew. The war had just entered the initial stage, and both sides were preparing. For the past 6,000 years, although humans had been recuperating, they had only occupied a corner of the continent. The demons' strength had also continued. At least, there was no problem with their fertility. While humans were accumulating strength, why couldn't the demons do the same? In particular, the number of high-grade demons was far from what it was 6,000 years ago. At this time, one could imagine how sensitive Long Houchen and Haoyue were. Xingyu fell into deep thought. From the Temple League's point of view, handing over Long Houchen would give them the chance to continue recuperating. However, would they have the chance to obtain the power to destroy the demon god pillars in the future? The answer was uncertain. And to protect Long Houchen, the alliance would have to face the demon's wrath. After all, this was related to the rise and fall of the demons. Whoever ruled the demons would kill Long Houchen and Haoyue at all costs in this situation. After a long time, Xingyu said with some difficulty, "Child, you shouldn't have said it. This is very likely to be unfair to you. Do you understand?" Long Houchen smiled calmly. "A great-grandfather, there's nothing unfair about it. I can't go against my conscience. As I said, I can't hand over Haoyue. He's like my brother. What I can do is to tell the truth and let the Alliance make the decision. No matter what the Alliance decides, I will have no regret. A great-grandfather, please find a room for me. Before the Alliance makes a decision, I will stay in our assassin temple." Xingyu closed his eyes. His heart was in turmoil. He was a person with a strong desire to control. What he hated the most was encountering things that he couldn't control. Without a doubt, Long Houchen was giving him such a situation. He couldn't predict what would happen if he reported Long Houchen's words to the Alliance. In a situation that involved the lives of millions of people in the Alliance, it wasn't a good decision. "Great-grandfather," Kai Er's voice suddenly sounded at this time. Hearing her clear and melodious voice, as if she had just woken up from a dream, Long Houchen shivered and looked at Kai in disbelief. Kai Er's eyes were still a little dull, but she walked towards Xingyu step by step. Xingyu opened his eyes and looked at Kai in surprise. She was his great-granddaughter, so he was naturally the most familiar with her. Kai Er's voice sounded a little strange, very different from before. I remember now. You're my great-grandfather. A great-grandfather, Dad, Mom, where are my dad and Mom? Why didn't they come to save me? Why didn't they save me? Kai, what's wrong? Xingyu looked at Kai in shock. Long Houchen hurriedly stepped forward and came to Kai Er's side. Kai, do you remember? Do you remember everything? Why didn't they come to save me? Why didn't they come to save me? Kai didn't pay attention to Long Houchen, and only repeated this sentence. Her eyes were lifeless, but her tears flowed down uncontrollably. Her appearance really made people's hearts ache. Long Houchen had completely forgotten about his own matters. His mind was on Kai and he anxiously wanted to pull her back. But Kai was very emotional at this time. Her eyes were filled with despair and coldness as she stared at Xingyu. Why did you leave me there? Why did you do this to me? Do you know? Her almost hysterical voice made everyone's heart clench. Puff. Long Houchen's palm gently cut the root of Kai Er's neck. Kai Er suddenly fell into his arms. Her face was covered with tears. What the hell is going on? Xing Yu was also confused at this time. He was a little stunned by his great-granddaughter's sudden question. Long Houchen hugged Kai Er and carefully wiped the tears on her face. It's all my fault. I didn't protect Kai Er. At this moment, he told the process of Kai Er's memory loss to Xing Yu. Of course, he didn't mention anything about the Tower of Eternity. He only said that he had no choice but to break through the encirclement with Kai Er, which disturbed her awakening as a god's chosen one. After listening to Long Houchen's explanation, Xing Yu didn't speak for a long time. He knew that this absolutely couldn't be blamed on Long Houchen. Kai Er suddenly awakened. Who could have predicted such a thing? Long Houchen had done his best. Although he didn't explain the situation in detail, it could be imagined that it wouldn't be easy for him to break through the encirclement of so many demon hunter exorcist experts. Let's go. You guys go home first. Xing Yu's home was the Exorcist Mountain Pass's administrative office. Xing Lingxin's family originally lived there, and not at the Assassin Temple's side. As the Exorcist Mountain Pass's military chief, their family had a small courtyard behind the administrative office. Xing Yu didn't have any intention of restricting Long Houchen and the others. He only let them stay there. Moreover, he told Long Houchen that he would report Long Houchen's situation to his superiors and let Long Houchen wait for news from the Temple League. When Xing Yu told Long Houchen this, he had already thought it through in his heart. This was the Exorcist Mountain Pass, his territory. If the Alliance decided to hand over Long Houchen in the end, then couldn't he just let this child go? Everyone had their own selfish motives, and he was no exception. When he saw the amnesiac Kai Er, Xing Yu's mood underwent a heaven and earth upheaval. For the first time, he felt that he was wrong. For the Alliance and also for the Assassin Temple, Kai Er had endured pain that far surpassed that of an ordinary person. Even after losing her memories, the first memory she recovered was that unforgettable pain. If he didn't let her accept the sword of Samsara's inheritance, how could Kai Er have experienced such pain? And now, could it be that he wanted Long Houchen to sacrifice himself for the Alliance? Xing Yu couldn't do it. Therefore, he had already decided that no matter what, he would protect Long Houchen and Kai Er. Just like this, the Commander rank Monster Hunt 64 settled down. Although the Holy War's huge shadow was shrouding the Exorcist Mountain Pass, the people living in Kai Er's home were exceptionally calm. That day, when Kai Er suddenly flared up, she was knocked unconscious by Long Houchen and sent back. After she woke up, her mood gradually calmed down. After several days of recovery, Long Houchen and the others gradually confirmed that Kai Er's memory had recovered a bit, but it was only a very small part, which was the memories from before she was 3 or 4 years old. Clearly, she had been stimulated by the Exorcist Mountain Pass. In addition, a great-grandfather Xing Yu had left a deep mark in her heart, so she had finally recovered a bit of her memory. Even though it was only a small part of it, it was undoubtedly good news. Unfortunately, Xing Lingxin and his wife had only come back to see their daughter once before hurriedly returning to the Exorcist Mountain Pass. The Holy War had begun, and although they were incomparably distressed for their daughter, how could they abandon the heavy responsibility they had shouldered? Long Houchen, are you there? Kai Er stood in front of the door next to her residence, and lightly knocked on the door. When she had just recovered her memory, her mood had indeed been greatly affected. But in the past few days, under the consolation of Long Houchen and her companions, in addition to the concern of her parents and a great-grandfather, her mood had gradually calmed down. After all, her memory hadn't completely recovered. The past was the past, so she had gradually let go of it. In these 2 days, her mood had more or less recovered. There was no response from Long Houchen's familiar voice. After knocking for a while, Kai Er confirmed that there was no one in the room. she couldn't help but feel somewhat baffled. Generally speaking, Long Houchin should be cultivating in his room at this time. As her heart calmed down, she began to ponder about the recent events. Although Long Houchin was temporarily staying here, whether it was him or the whole team, they were currently full of uncertainty. Ever since she had lost her memory, the person who had been with her the longest was Long Houchin. It could be said that he had meticulously taken care of her. Although she still couldn't remember all the things that had happened between them, she was still a girl, and people had feelings. As time passed, even if she had lost her memory, she had gradually accepted Long Houchin from the bottom of her heart. At least now, when Long Houchin held her hand again, she wouldn't blush so obviously, and she wouldn't struggle to free herself. He had always been doing everything for her. Now that such a big matter had happened, she should also comfort him. Today, it was precisely because of this that Kai Er took the initiative to look for Long Houchin, but she discovered that he wasn't in his room. Could it be that the Temple League had already decided on that matter? Thinking up to this point, Kai Er felt her heart suddenly tighten, and an indescribable pain assaulted her in an instant, causing her breathing to become a bit hurried. But why didn't he tell me about it? No, it can't be. He definitely wouldn't leave just like that. As the saying goes, concern leads to confusion. Kai Er didn't realize that unknowingly, Long Houchin had also occupied a relatively important position in her heart, even though she had lost her memory. Kai Er, what are you doing? At this moment, a somewhat puzzled voice sounded beside her. Kai Er turned her head and happened to see Chen Inger walking out of the room on the other side, looking at her with a puzzled expression. As if grasping at a life-saving straw, Kai Er flashed to Chen Inger's side. Inger, where is Long Houchin? Have you seen him? Why isn't he in the room? Chen Inger said doubtfully, Of course he isn't in the room right now. He went to cook for you. Don't tell me you don't know? Ever since you came back, the things you eat every day have been personally made by Boss. Kai Er was stunned. An indescribable feeling spread throughout her body. At this moment, she felt as if all the pores on her body had relaxed. The worry from a moment ago was instantly replaced by a warm and comforting feeling. For a moment, the rims of her eyes immediately reddened. He actually went to cook for me. In a situation where he could be abandoned by the Alliance at any time, he actually thought of cooking for me and not himself. Seeing Kai Er's expression, Chen Inger confirmed that she really didn't know. She didn't hide her jealousy at all. Kai Er, you really are lucky. Do you know that? That day when you recovered some of your memories, Boss said that your mind is currently unstable and your body will also become weak. You must definitely cook something delicious for you to nourish your body. Nourishing your body can also help you adjust your emotions. He also said. At this point, Chen Inger suddenly stopped. Kai Er's sluggish eyes instantly became clear. What else did he say? Chen Inger's eyes also reddened. He also said that he doesn't know if he will have another chance like this in the future. He said that he wants to cherish every day that he is together with you. He can only do this for you. A figure flashed, and Kai Er, who was in front of Chen Inger a moment ago, suddenly disappeared. Looking at the figure that Kai Er brought with her as she left, Chen Inger lightly sighed and said to herself, Kai Er, you really are lucky. If one day that guy of mine can treat me like boss, even if I have to die, I will be willing. In the backyard of the Exorcist Mountain Pass, there were several kitchens. In one of the small kitchens, Long Houchin was busy. This kitchen wasn't big, but at Long Houchin's request, it was specially allocated for him to use these days. At this time, he was adding firewood to the stove, and from time to time, he would pay attention to the situation of the flames under the large pot. A thick fragrance had already filled the air, making people's mouths water. Inside the pot there were 3 wyverns. Of course, they weren't real dragons, but a kind of very nourishing bird that wasn't even in the category of magic beast. Early in the morning, when the sky had just brightened, Long Houchin ran to the kitchen to deal with the 3 wyverns and stew the soup. From time to time, he would add firewood and smell the soup. After determining that there wouldn't be any problems, he went to the chopping board to deal with the other ingredient. As the saying goes, poor people's children matured early. When Long Houchen was 6 years old, he had already started to learn how to cook from his mother. Although his skill couldn't be said to be very good, the taste wasn't too bad. The wild vegetable soup that his mother used to drink was all stewed by him. His current living conditions were clearly incomparable to that time. Long Houchen just wanted to do some things he wanted to do before the alliance made the decision. At this time, he didn't want to think about his parents, because he didn't want his father to feel embarrassed because of his matters. After so many years, he hadn't seen his parents, so he could only silently pray for them. And what he wanted to do the most right now naturally wasn't cultivation. If the alliance decided to hand him over, then what was the point of cultivating? It was impossible for him to catch up to the demon emperor in such a short time. Therefore, he just wanted to do some things for Kai. As he grew older, the nearly 18 years old Long Houchen had long since understood that his feelings for Kai wasn't just love, but also the love between a man and a woman. Because every time he thought of Kai, he would feel that no matter what he did for her, he was willing to do it. Kai's memory loss was the greatest pain he had ever experienced. The future was uncertain, and he didn't want to think about this at all. He just hoped that he could spend more time with Kai, see her every day, and do something for her. That was enough. But what could he do? Long Houchen realized that there was really not much he could do for Kai, so he decided to come to the kitchen. At least Kai could eat the dishes he cooked himself every day. This feeling made him feel happy from the bottom of his heart. Especially after seeing Kai's emotions gradually recover these few days, Long Houchen's mood suddenly became better. He didn't worry about the future at all, and had long put everything aside. Kai stood silently outside the kitchen door. Through the crack of the door, she looked at Long Houchen, who was busy. He wore a clean white apron, and kept busy between the stove and the kitchen table. At this time, he only looked like a young chef. Where was the aura of the leader of the monster hunters? Unknowingly, Kai's eyes were blurred. She only felt that her heart was stabbed fiercely, and her throat was choked, unable to say a word. The expression of Long Houchen, who was in the middle of cooking, suddenly changed. Raising his right hand, he gestured inside. With a faint flash of golden light, the door to the kitchen was pulled open by his spiritual energy, just in time to see Kai's tearful face to face. Kai. Long Houchen looked at her in surprise. Long Houchen. Kai rushed in, threw herself into his arms, and burst into tears. Long Houchen was a little confused by her crying, but he still had vegetables in his hands, and there were still water droplets dripping down. He was afraid that he would dirty Kai's clothes, so he could only open his hands like a fool. "Silly, what's wrong with you?" Long Houchen asked softly. When he called her silly, his heart couldn't help but be filled with warmth. In the past, Kai loved to call him that. He was her silly. Kai didn't say anything, and just threw herself into his arms and cried. Long Houchen helplessly put down the kitchen knife in his hand, and wiped his hands on the apron before hugging her delicate body. Kai's body was still so soft, but as she grew older, she became more slender than before. Hugging her soft and delicate body, Long Houchen only felt a sense of peace in his heart. This feeling wasn't the same as before. Although he finally hugged Kai again, he knew that his Kai didn't really come back. At this time, she was only touched, but not the unforgettable love from before. But this was undoubtedly a good progress, wasn't it? Long Houchen, in this world, no one will treat me better than you. Kai raised her head and said to Long Houchen. Long Houchen laughed and said, "Of course, if I don't treat you well, who else should I treat well? As long as you can be well, I will be satisfied. Don't deliberately think about the past. To be honest, I was scared by you that day, and now I don't even want you to recover your memory. Because if you recover your memory, It will undoubtedly make you remember those painful times in the past. Kai gently shook her head. No, I must recover my memory, because in my memory there is you. I really want to truly feel the feeling I had when I was with you in the past. Perhaps it's because of that pain from before that I can feel your feelings for me even more. The other people in the handsome grade Monster Hunt 64 quickly discovered that Kai had recently changed. She became very attached to Long Houchen, and besides sleeping at night, the two practically stuck together every day. Long Houchen would cook for Kai and Kai would accompany him by his side, helping him wash the vegetables. No one would disturb them. Even the rumbling sounds of the battle outside the Exorcist Mountain Pass were automatically filtered by them. These days belonged to them alone. Unfortunately, blissful days always passed quickly, and they were always interrupted. On the 11th day after Long Houchen and the others arrived at the Exorcist Mountain Pass, the heroic Xing Yu once again appeared in front of them. Long Houchen, let me tell you a piece of good news. The Alliance has decided to accept the challenge and launch an all-out holy war with the demons. When he said this, Xing Yu's eyes were filled with sharp killing intent. Long Houchen looked at Xing Yu in astonishment. A great-grandfather, what about me? Xing Yu faintly smiled and said, not to mention you, even I didn't expect that everyone's opinion would be so unanimous, without any arguments. It has been unanimously approved that you will officially become the future successor of the Knights Templars. At the same time, the Alliance will protect your safety at all costs. Everyone's opinion is unanimous. Your existence will be a fatal blow to the demons, and when your strength grows to a sufficient level, it will be a disaster for the demons. And our holy war is precisely for the sake of persevering until that day. Don't worry, everything is developing in the best direction, and you don't need to worry about this war at all. Although the demons took the initiative to initiate the holy war, they launched it very hastily and didn't make sufficient preparations. On the contrary, in order to sound the horn of counterattack, the Alliance has been preparing for too long. The Demon Emperor is indeed powerful, but if he wants to invade our Alliance, it won't be an easy task. It's still not clear who will emerge victorious. Listening to Xing Yu's words, the Commander-class Monster Hunt 64 people breathed a sigh of relief. Although Long Houchen himself wasn't worried, how could his companions not be worried for him? The Alliance's decision was undoubtedly exciting for them. What they needed to do now was to go all out to help the Alliance resist the foreign enemy. Long Houchen clenched his fists subconsciously and said in a deep voice, "A great-grandfather, in that case, I am willing to ask the Alliance for permission to return to the interior of the demons with my companions. When the demons launch the holy war, their rear must be empty. And they must have demon gods guarding the rear. If we can kill a few more demon gods behind the enemy's rear, then it will definitely have a strong interference effect on the demons' holy war." However, Xing Yu immediately rejected his proposal. "No. You are now a key target of the Alliance's protection. How can we let you risk your life with the demons again? There will naturally be people who will do the work behind the enemy's rear. This isn't something you need to worry about now." After the Alliance made the decision, they also issued a compulsory mission to your team, a compulsory mission that must be completed. After this mission is completed, you will officially advance to King-class monster hunters. What mission? Long Houchen asked in surprise. Xing Yu smiled slyly and said, "This mission can't be said to be difficult, but it can't be said to be too easy either. Every one of you is an elite of each temple. Because of your relationship with Long Houchen, you have also received the recognition of the temple. Therefore, the Alliance has decided that, in the next period of time, all of you will be further educated and fully trained to become the next generation of the Alliance. Therefore, all of you must return to the headquarters of your respective temple and listen to the deployment, training of your respective temple, until you can complete your apprenticeship." Everyone exclaimed almost at the same time. This compulsory mission was naturally a good thing for them personally, but it also meant that their team would have to temporarily split up. No, we don't want to split up, Lin Xian said anxiously. Xing Yu's face darkened. Is this something you can decide? You are all part of the alliance, and also demon hunters. It is your duty to obey orders. This is the unanimous decision of the alliance, and it has the support of every temple, including mine. Over the past few years, all of you have contributed a lot to the alliance, but your strength is far from strong enough. Now all of you are the target of the demons. If we let you go on a mission again, the final result will be a failure. Therefore, what you need most now is to settle down and not advance rashly. Especially Long Haochen, you can't go on a mission again. After thinking for a moment, Long Haochen raised his hand to signal his teammates to calm down, and then asked Xing Yu, a great-grandfather, under what circumstances can we form a new team? Xing Yu smiled and said, this is not difficult. First, your individual strength must be above the 7th rank. As the team leader, you must be at least the 8th rank. Also, you must pass the assessment of your respective temple. When the alliance needs you, you can resume your team. Oh, right, each of you must obtain a special title from your respective temple. For example, Long Haochen must become a knight on a golden pedestal. In other words, you must prove to the alliance that you have the ability to protect yourselves. Only then will the alliance allow you to form a new team and continue carrying out missions. Hearing Xing Yu's words, everyone was silent. They understood that the alliance was doing this for their own good. One reason was to nurture them, and the other was to prevent them from carrying out missions and taking risks. This was not only because Long Haochen and the others were important, but also because Long Haochen and Hao Yue had the ability to destroy the demon god pillars. It could be said that since the alliance had decided to protect them, they would do their best to protect them. If they wanted to step onto the battlefield again, it would naturally not be an easy matter. Xing Yu said in a deep voice, I have already issued a strict order to keep the matter of your return a secret. Everyone who knows of your return will keep it a secret. However, because you took action in the Demon Exorcist mountain range, it is hard to guarantee that the demons won't know of your arrival in the Exorcist mountain range. Therefore, you must set off as soon as possible and return to your respective temple to further your studies. Children, the Alliance is thinking of your future. We also know that after carrying out missions together for so long, you all have deep feelings for each other and don't want to separate. However, your survival is not only related to your lives, but also to the future of the Alliance. Therefore, no matter what, you must complete this mission without any hesitation. If you want to reunite as soon as possible, then each of you must put in 200% effort to increase your strength. Let me ask you, if one day you can possess the strength of the demon god fallen, who will restrict you? Hearing Xing Yu's earnest and well-meaning words, Long Haochen silently nodded. A great-grandfather, thank you, and thank the Alliance for protecting me. Don't worry, I will definitely do my best to improve myself. However, speaking up to here, Long Haochen's complexion suddenly became somewhat pale. He turned his head to look at the similarly pale Kai, and for a moment he was speechless. Xing Yu lightly sighed and said, Kai also has a lot to learn from the Eastern heretic. Moreover, she needs to rest for a long time due to her amnesia. Since she recovered a bit of her memories after returning, staying in the Exorcist mountain range is the best choice for her. Don't worry, her parents and I will take good care of her, and hopefully we can help her recover some of her memories. Moreover, with your talents, I believe that in just a few years, you will be able to complete the mission the Alliance gave you. Moreover, the Assassin Temple isn't far from the Knights Templars. When you have some achievements in your cultivation at the Knights Templars side, don't tell me that you won't come to see this girl. Don't worry, even if the Alliance is still unwilling to loosen the mission, when you are over 20 years old, I will definitely personally send Kai to your side and officiate your wedding. Hearing the words officiate, Long Houchen and Kai Er's originally pale complexion immediately turned red. The two of them looked at each other, Kai Er's eyes filled with bashfulness and happiness, while Long Houchen's happiness also contained a touch of worry. No matter what, in his heart, he still hoped that Kai could recover her memories. Otherwise, he would always feel that something was missing. Only, he would have to separate from Kai 20 years old, that was more than 2 years. When Kai turned 20, it would be more than 3 years. After being separated for so long, Long Houchen's heart was filled with indescribable reluctance. Xing Yu patted Long Houchen's shoulder. Child, you should understand that for you, this is already the best result. The Alliance can only do this much. You must leave immediately, you cannot stay any longer. I will send experts from the Assassin Temple to escort you. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. This parting was for a better reunion in the future. Don't worry, we will take good care of Kai. Putong, Long Houchen knelt in front of Xing Yu. A great-grandfather, it is all my fault. I did not take good care of her, causing her to lose her memories. We are about to separate. I have a small request. I want to cook a meal for her. Can I also cook a meal for my companions? When Long Houchen said this, everyone's eyes turned red. Kai was the first to jump into Long Houchen's embrace. Long Houchen, leader, boss. Xing Yu raised his head and looked at the sky, trying his best to not let his tears fall. Okay, I will give you another half a day. Tonight you must leave. I will make the necessary arrangements. After saying this, his figure flashed and disappeared into thin air. Separation in life and death was the greatest pain in life. This was what Long Houchen and the rest were facing. Ever since they formed the Soldier Grade No. 1 Monster Hunters in the Holy City, they had experienced too many things. Everyone had gone through life and death together, charging through the demons together. The relationship between them could no longer be described as simple companions and friends. They were good brothers and sisters who could entrust their backs to each other. They were comrades who could give up their lives for each other. Chapter 164. The day before they were about to be separated was so painful for all of them. Long Houchen had personally prepared a sumptuous lunch for his companions. However, when it came time to eat, none of them could swallow it. Everyone, don't be like this. A great-grandfather is right. Today's separation is for a better reunion in the future. I promise you that in 2 years, 3 years at most, I will try my best to rebuild our team. When that time comes, we will become a king-tier monster hunters. Although we are parting, our communication cannot be broken. The Alliance uses magic to send letters. When everyone returns to their respective temple, you must inform me immediately that you are safe. Long Houchen forcefully suppressed the pain in his heart and comforted his companions. Lin Xin, after this separation, you are the one with the most important task. Apart from not delaying your training, you have a lot of things to do. Everyone, gather up your storage equipment. I will gather all the materials we brought back from Eternal Melody and give them to Lin Xin. When you return, exchange them for the various items we need. Especially the sores and forest boa. The forest boa body honing pills made from the forest boa king's snake gallbladder and inner core, you can send them to the others. I don't need them. I am a god's favored. After my awakening, my physique has been greatly improved. The forest boa body honing pills shouldn't be of much use to me. You must make good use of the sore corpses. First, transform them into weapons and equipment for Yuan, then think of selling them. Lin Xin nodded silently, keeping Long Houchen's advice in mind. Long Houchen continued, although refining pills is important, your own training is also very important. You don't want to be distanced from your companions, do you? Although there are not many potioneers in the Alliance, it is not that there are none. I believe that your magic temple must have the best potioneers. We've brought back so many good things this time. You can use them to hire a devil apothecary to refine Dawn for us. Don't do everything by yourself. You must leave enough time for cultivation. Also, you'll be in charge of allocating other resources. During these 2 to 3 years, don't buy any equipment. Lin Xian will be in charge of the allocation. This way, they could avoid wasting resources. Lin Xian, remember, don't be stingy with your money. Only purchase legendary equipment and above. If epic equipment appears and suits us, don't hesitate to buy it at all costs. Everyone saw the battle in the Royal Demon Mountain Range. Although the magic spell cast by number 9 wasn't a true forbidden spell, its might was comparable to a forbidden spell and had the effect of reversing the situation. Thus, Lin Xian, your other task is to purchase forbidden spells, fire-type forbidden spells, to make up for your lack of attack power. You're the only pure mage in our team. Be it fire-type forbidden spells or fire-type magic scrolls, as long as you think it's suitable, you can purchase them. If other monster hunters heard Long Houchen's words, they would definitely be dumbfounded. However, Long Houchen's team could indeed be considered rich and overbearing. They had too many good things in their hands. Not to mention anything else, just the body of the Anaconda King was a priceless treasure. According to the records, the Forest Boa King was a species of magical beast that had disappeared long ago. One could only imagine how useful it was. There were also the inner cores and gall-bladder of ordinary forest boas. These were all good things. These were only a small part of the profits from their trip to the demons. Long Houchen's Eternal Melody alone had quite a few corpses of 8th-grade demons, not to mention the corpse of the snake demon god Andamari that Lin Xian had collected. You have a heavy responsibility, but you must remember, no matter what, you must not delay your training. Do you understand? Long Houchen continued to warn Lin Xian. Lin Xian nodded repeatedly, but his eyes reddened again. Boss, don't worry. I won't fall behind. Long Houchen smiled and turned to Sima Xian. Sima, when you return to the Temple of the Priests' Southern Pass, you must also train hard. Remember not to be impulsive. Consult your teacher. I have a feeling that being a disciplined priest is not as simple as it seems. If possible, read through the books of the Temple of the Priests. Lin Xian will also give priority to the Forest Boa body honing pills made from the Forest Boa King's gall and inner core. You just have to remember not to participate in the battle impulsively. Just listen to the Temple of the Priests. As for the retainer contract between us, you and Han, you don't have to worry. After I become a god's favored, the contract will no longer be limited by distance. When we meet again in 2 or 3 years, the contract will almost expire. Sima Xian held his big bald head with both hands and lowered his head, not saying a word. He looked rough, but his heart was very meticulous. At this moment, his tiger eyes were already filled with tears. In his mind, the scenes of going through fire and water with his companions kept appearing. For a moment, he was completely speechless. Long Houchen smiled and said, "Don't forget to contact Miss Feng Ling from the Sanctuary Alliance Grand Auction. Maybe she has been waiting for your news." Yuan, after returning to the Warrior's Temple, you have to keep in touch with Lin Xian. He will help you forge a good weapon. Work hard on your training, and strive to embed all 7 sockets of your divine soul shield with sky silver crystals as soon as possible. Yes, Wang Yuan pursed her lips tightly and stared at Long Houchen, only nodding her head vigorously. Long Houchen forced a smile and said, "Everyone, don't be like this. It's not like we won't meet again after today. This separation is for a better reunion in the future. I sincerely hope that when we meet again, each of you will be stronger than me. Actually, I look forward to meeting you the most. If I remember correctly, you said that only after reaching the 7th Order would your true abilities be revealed. Now that you're already at the 6th Order, you're only a step away from the 7th Order. The next time we meet, you must show us how powerful you are." Cherning was even stronger than Wang Yuan. "Leader, don't worry. When we meet again, I will definitely not be a burden to everyone. I will definitely become the main force of the team. I'm sorry, I never told you. Actually, my innate internal spiritual energy is 92. I lied in the past. Huh. This time, everyone couldn't help but be surprised. Another god favored? Chen-Ying-er's eyes showed deep regret and sadness. This is the agreement between me and Grandma. Although we are both God-favored with an internal spiritual energy of more than 90, my body is too weak. Before reaching the 7th rank, I will not be able to display my ability at all. Only after reaching the 7th rank can I truly have the physique of a soul saintess and directly awaken as a God-favored. At that time, perhaps I will have the ability to communicate with magical beasts like Yi Xiaolei. I'm sorry, I have been hiding it from everyone. Even in the Soul Temple, only Grandma knows this secret. The shock on Long Haochen's face gradually disappeared, and he patted her shoulder. Inger, you don't need to apologize, everyone has their own secrets. Moreover, this is a good thing for everyone. Since that's the case, the next time we meet, you must complete your awakening. Moreover, with the lesson from Kai, when you break through to the 7th rank, you must be in a safe place, and ask the Almighty of your soul temple to protect you. Chen-Ying said proudly, Commander, the next time we meet, my goal is to reach the 8th rank. I will definitely catch up with you. Long Haochen laughed. Good, then I will wait for you to catch up. The arrogance on Chen-Ying's face suddenly dissipated, and tears streamed down her face. Leader, I want to hug all of you. Can I? How could she be stronger than Wang Yuan? At this moment, her stubbornness finally shattered. Of course. Long Haochen stood up, with a disappointed and reluctant smile, and opened his arms to Chen-Ying. After a full hour, everyone returned to their rooms, leaving time for Long Haochen and Kai. In the team, they were the only couple, and a couple who had experienced so many difficulties and hardship. Despite their reluctance, the others still gave them more time. Let's go sit on the roof for a while, okay? Yes. Leaning against each other, Kai didn't cry. She just leaned against Long Haochen's side. Long Haochen, do you think I will remember everything the next time we meet? Kai asked softly. Long Haochen shook his head silently. I don't know. Kai asked again. Then do you want me to remember? Long Haochen didn't say anything this time. Of course, he hoped that she would remember, but he didn't want her to remember the pain of the past. I will definitely remember. Because I really want to know, in my original memory, what is it like? There must be a very special feeling, right? Kai widened her eyes and looked up at Long Haochen. His handsome face looked even more handsome under the sunlight. He is really good-looking, and he is so powerful. Most importantly, he treats me so well, but even though Kai had gradually accepted him in her heart, the shadow of amnesia still shrouded her heart from beginning to end, to the point where she always felt that there was a layer separating them, as if this layer wasn't removed, she wouldn't be able to truly face him. Long Haochen gently stroked Kai's long hair. At this moment, his heart was very peaceful. His gaze was very gentle. He could also feel the layer of estrangement between him and Kai. However, he wasn't in a hurry, nor would he force her. He believed that regardless of whether she recovered her memory or not, one day, he would win her heart again. Parting was a kind of settling, allowing everyone's hearts to calm down. Perhaps, when they met again, she would really be able to remember everything. The two sat like this, from the rising sun to the setting sun. Even when Long Haochen quietly left, Kai was still sitting there. On that day, when the moon turned and the stars appeared in the darkness, her tears finally flowed uncontrollably. I want to remember him. Long Haochen and Han Yu set off together. Together with them were 4 heroic hidden assassins. At such a critical juncture, this was the most strength that Xing Yu could spare. They escorted the two people all the way to the north, straight towards the dragon-resisting pass where Basilica of the Knights was located. In the legends of the Holy Demon Continent, the dragon race lived in the northeast. In order to resist the invasion of the dragon race, humans established the Dragon Resisting Pass in ancient times to resist the invasion of the dragon race. Compared to the other impregnable passes, the terrain around the Dragon Resisting Pass was relatively flat. However, it was completely covered in ice and snow, and the snow never melted all year round. Outside of the Dragon Resisting Pass, within a large area, there was not even a blade of grass growing in the bitterly cold land. There would often be ice and snow storms that were comparable to forbidden spells. The power of nature became the natural barrier of this impregnable pass. Therefore, although the Knights Templars was the head of the Sixth Great Temple, the number of times the Dragon Resisting Pass encountered an attack was not many. What's more, the Dragon Resisting Pass itself was originally built to resist the dragon race. Among the 6 great impregnable passes of the Temple League, it was the most magnificent one. It possessed several kinds of powerful weapons of mass destruction that had been passed down from ancient times. The pain of parting turned into motivation to move forward. The Exorcist Pass was the closest stronghold to the Dragon Resisting Pass. Under the escort of the 4 hidden heroic assassins, Long Houchen and Han Yu alternated between flying and walking every day. It only took them 5 days to arrive at the impregnable pass where the Basilica of the Knights was located. Just like the news they received from the Exorcist Pass, the Dragon Resisting Pass was similarly besieged by the demon army. The situation was grim, even more so than the Exorcist Pass. Before they even entered the Dragon Resisting Pass, they had already received the news. Outside the Dragon Resisting Pass, the 1st, 3rd, and 4th great elite legions of the demons were gathered. They were personally led by the demon gods of death, Samakina, and the bear Veilfar. With the assistance of the other 6 great demon gods, they were garrisoned here. Although the conditions outside the Dragon Resisting Pass were vile, the demons' most elite legions were garrisoned here. The entire army numbered no more than 300,000, but their overall fighting strength far surpassed the 1 million strong demon army of the Exorcist Pass. From the hidden heroic assassins, Long Houchen and Han Yu also learned that the demons had indeed gone all out in this holy war. Among the 72 demon god pillars, 56 had come to battle. Among them, there were 8 demon gods overseeing every impregnable human pass, and the demon emperor personally led 7 demon gods to the rear of the battlefield. They could appear on any side of the battlefield at any time. It must be known that the demon emperor was together with the moon demon Agars and the star demon Vashik. The combined strength of the 3 demons could be imagined. At this time, the Temple League's monster hunters also played a decisive role. When the demons announced their holy war against the Temple League, the Temple League's top monster hunters had their eyes on the Demon Emperor and the others, ready to take action at any time. Because of this, the Demon Emperor didn't act blindly without thinking. However, no one knew how long the 2 sides would hold each other back for. After 5 days of hurrying on the road, the longing and sadness of separation in Long Houchen and Han Yu's hearts had finally been diluted by a lot. The Commander-grade Monster Hunt 64 team had temporarily split up. Although it was painful to part, everyone was still holding back their strength. They had to diligently cultivate in preparation for the next time they formed a new team. Why did the Temple League want them to split up and return to the temple to cultivate? Wasn't it because their strength wasn't enough, and they were worried about their actions among the demons? Long Houchen and Kair were key targets of protection, especially Long Houchen. The Alliance decided to protect him, so in the future, he would be the mainstay of the Alliance against the demons. He was the only hope to destroy the demon god pillars. Therefore, the Temple League decided to temporarily freeze them. As for how long this freeze would last, no one could say. But at least, Xingyu had pointed them in a direction. At least until all of them had broken through to the 7th Order, and Long Houchen had to break through to the 8th Order and become a knight on a golden pedestal, only then would it be possible for them to form a Monster Hunters team to fight against the demons again. Therefore, in order to reunite with their companions as soon as possible, the only thing they could do was to desperately improve themselves, for the present and also for the future. What Long Houchen and Han Yu didn't expect was that when they arrived outside the dragon-resisting mountain pass, the Knights Templars had already received the news, and there were people welcoming them. There weren't many people welcoming them, only a dozen or so. However, when Long Houchen saw the two people standing at the front, his suppressed emotions could no longer be restrained. Rushing forward in 3 steps, Long Houchen knelt down on the ground, choking with sobs as he called out the name that he missed so much, Mom. Yes, among the people who came to welcome them, one of the two at the front was Long Houchen's mother, Bai Yu. Since his mother and father left together, Long Houchen hadn't seen his mother for more than 5 years. Seeing Bai Yu again, how could he not be excited? Compared to before, Bai Yu didn't look sickly, but her face still looked very haggard. She staggered towards Long Houchen, and when Long Houchen knelt down, she had already hugged her son in her arms, crying bitterly. Long Houchen grew up with his mother, and his relationship with Bai Yu was the deepest. The mother and son depended on each other, until Long Xingwu found them. Only then could they be considered a family reunion. After being separated for so long, Long Houchen was really too emotional to see his mother again. The person who came to welcome Long Houchen with Bai Yu wasn't his father, Long Xingwu. Instead, he was also one of the elders that Long Houchen respected the most, the Lord of the Knights Templars, the owner of the throne of God of protection and mercy. The Knight of the Seal, Yang Haohan, the Knights Templars' defense and coordination officer. Yang Haohan was still the same as before. Looking at the reunited mother and son, there was a hint of worry in his eyes. Bai Yu looked at her son as if she couldn't get enough of him. After not seeing him for more than 5 years, Long Houchen had grown from a teenager to a tall and sturdy young man. The childishness on his face had long disappeared, replaced by determination. Gently caressing her son's reluctance, Bai Yu couldn't say anything at all. As a mother, after more than 5 years and nearly 2,000 days and nights of longing, it was easy to imagine how she felt when she finally saw her son. The mother and son hugged each other and cried bitterly. No one disturbed them. Everyone knew that they needed to vent their emotions, especially Long Houchen. This time, his team was split up, and he was already in a bad mood. Finally seeing his mother, he was only a child in front of his mother, not the leader of the monster hunters. At this moment, it was as if the heavy burden on his shoulders had been lifted. Han Yu came in front of Yang Haohan, bowed respectfully, and stood aside. This was the first time he saw Long Houchen like this. At this moment, he could feel that Long Houchen was a young man who was a few years younger than him, and not the leader or boss who was always strategizing. After crying for a long time, Long Houchen felt much better after completely venting the depression in his heart. Only then did he help his mother to stand up. He bowed respectfully to Yang Haohan. Long Houchen greets leader, Grandfather Yang, how are you? Yes, Yang Haohan wasn't just the leader of the Knights Templars. He was also the leader of the Temple League. Knights Templars was different from other temple. As long as one could become a Knight of the Seal, then he would be the leader of the temple, not the vice-leader. Therefore, the current Knights Templars had 3 Knight of the Seal, which meant that there were 3 leaders. This point was meaningless in other temple. After all, the Knight of the Seal had always been the strongest among human rank 9 powerhouses. Yang Haohan faintly smiled, nodded to him, and said, I'm very well, it's been hard on you, child. Long Houchen silently shook his head, stood at his mother's side, and didn't say anything. Yang Haohan then said to the 4 hidden heroic assassins, You 4 have worked hard, follow me into the city to rest. The leader of the hidden heroic assassins said, Many thanks for leader's kindness, but we will still return. Leader Xingyu is still waiting for our reply, and the Exorcist Mountain Pass also needs us. Yang Haohan didn't stay any longer, nodded slightly, and the 4 hidden heroic assassins saluted him again, then soared up and disappeared in the blink of an eye. After sending Long Houchen to Yang Haohan, they naturally didn't need to worry about any danger appearing. The one in front of them was a Knight of the Seal that even the Demon Emperor had to face. Long Houchen's mood calmed down a lot, and he supported his mother and said, "Mother, what about father? Is he at the front lines?" Hearing Long Houchen mention Long Xingwu, Yang Haohan and Bai Yu's complexion slightly changed. Bai Yu softly said, "Child, let's go into the city first." An ominous premonition instantly rose in Long Houchen's heart, and his pupils suddenly shrank. Mother, father, humans and demons had fought for so many years, and even if Long Xingwu was a Knight of the Seal, dying on the battlefield wasn't impossible. For a moment, Long Houchen only felt as if a sharp blade had pierced his chest, and his face lost all color. Bai Yu looked at her son's face, and suddenly became anxious. "Long Houchen, don't think too much, your father is fine." Long Houchen impatiently asked, "What the hell is going on? Mother, tell me quickly." Bai Yu saw that she couldn't hide it anymore and sighed, "Silly child, do you know why mother and father left you?" Long Houchen said without hesitation, "Didn't father say that a young eagle can never fly under the protection of its parents? He wanted me to practice hard and experience more trials, so he returned with you to Knights Templars." Bai Yu gently shook her head. "This is only one of the reasons. More importantly, your father didn't want you to worry about him when you were so young. We left because he challenged the seventh demon god of the demons, Amon. That's why we left you. Soon after we returned to Dragon Resisting Pass, your father went to fight Amon." "What?" Long Houchen was shocked. Until now, he didn't know that there was such a reason why his father left. For a moment, he couldn't help but feel confused. Yang Haohan had already arrived at his side without him noticing. She raised her hand and placed it on Long Houchen's shoulder. Gentle light spiritual force was injected into his body. The gentle warmth made Long Houchen's mind feel a bit better. "Child, you have to calm down. With your father's strength, he has at least a 60% chance of winning against Amon. Although he didn't come back after that battle, the demons didn't announce Amon's victory. That battle belongs only to the two of them." "Then why didn't father come back? Will he?" Long Houchen's heart was full of worry. Yang Haohan shook his head. "Your father is definitely still alive. Because, as a Knight of the Seal, if he dies in battle, then his throne of God will automatically return to the temple. But now, his throne of God has never returned, which proves that he is still alive. But we don't know where he is. He must have something important to do, that's why he didn't come back. Don't worry too much, we have been sending people to look for him." Listening to Yang Haohan's words, Long Houchen finally calmed down. He has always been smart. After calming down, his brain also operated at high speed. He asked, "Grandfather Yang, since my father didn't come back, did Amon participate in the Holy War?" Yang Haohan nodded. "Amon is one of the 8 demon gods outside our Dragon Resisting Pass. Together with Samikina and Veilfer, he commands the demon army." Long Houchen said, "Then can you find out where father went from Amon?" Yang Haohan sighed softly. "It's very difficult. Amon is different from other demon gods. His title is War-Mad Demon God. Among the demons, he may not be the strongest, but he is definitely the most warlike one. As the 7th demon god, he doesn't have a race of his own. There was a time when the mad demons wanted to join him, but he sternly refused. The reason was very simple: the mad demons are too weak, not worthy to be his race. In Amon's heart there is only battle. Therefore, he is also the demon god who slaughtered the most experts of our alliance. When it comes to battle, he is a madman. However, Amon also has one good point: he only loves to fight. He never disdains to kill ordinary soldiers who are much weaker than him. Therefore, although he has killed many of our Temple Alliance's experts, the number of ordinary soldiers he has killed is the least. There have been at least 4 battles between your father and Amon, each of them extremely tragic. No one can do anything to the other. But they also have some friendship. Your father and Amon agreed that before they defeat each other, they will not easily get involved in the battle. Therefore, even if Amon is here, he is actually more of a deterrent to your father's existence. Before this, the demons have already carried out a few probing attacks. Although Amon's demon god pillar is here, he did not appear on the battlefield. From this, it can be seen that your father will definitely be fine. Amon is looking for him. War-mad demon god Amon. Long Houchen subconsciously clenched his fists. In his mind, the most profound memory of his father was the moment when Long Xingwu summoned the throne of god of doomsday and massacre. The tall image of his father was deeply imprinted in his mind. One day, I will also challenge that war-mad demon god. Yang Haohan smiled and said, "Let's go. I believe that in the future, you will definitely become an even better knight of the seal than your father. I am also looking forward to that day coming soon. When that time comes, perhaps you will be the nightmare of the demons. Let's go, let's enter the city first. You will be very busy for the next period of time." Long Houchen looked at Yang Haohan doubtfully, not knowing what he meant. But his feet followed him into the city. Seeing that her son had calmed down, Baiyu also secretly heaved a sigh of relief, her expression imperceptibly becoming much better. She looked tenderly at her son who was supporting her, thinking in her heart, "My little Houchen has grown up." As they walked into the city, Yang Haohan said to Long Houchen, "I have heard about your matter from Xing Yu. Although we had high expectations of you in the beginning, I did not expect that you would still bring us surprises again and again. The youngest Captain Tier Monster Hunters, the youngest General Tier Monster Hunters. You are even more outstanding than your father was back then. Originally, old Xiao from the Warrior Temple told me that you will definitely become a Knight of the Seal before the age of 30. I thought he was exaggerating, but now it seems that he was right. You are not even 18 years old, but you have already reached the 7th order." Long Houchen's handsome face turned slightly red and said, "Grandfather Yang, don't praise me. This is the first time I have come to our Knights Templars. What do you plan to do next?" Yang Haohan smiled slightly and said, "Do you think that we will definitely find a special place to hide you when we let you come back, so that the demons will not find you?" Long Houchen was stunned, but he still nodded subconsciously. This was indeed what he was thinking. Yang Haohan shook his head and said, "No, you are wrong. If we do that, it will only bury your talent, and even leave a shadow in your heart forever. It is one thing for us Knights Templars to explain to the Alliance, but it is another matter for us to plan for ourselves. We have already made the decision to do everything we can to nurture you. On the other hand, the battlefield is the best place to improve a knight." Long Houchen was overjoyed. This was the first good news he had heard since returning to the Temple League. "Grandfather Yang, you allow me to go to the battlefield? That is great. When? Can I do it now?" For some reason, after the disbandment of the team, Long Houchen's youthful nature was released a lot. He was not as calm as when he was a team leader, but more energetic. Yang Haohan laughed and said, "You are really impatient. You will definitely go to the battlefield. But not so soon. Both you and Han you must fulfill 2 conditions before you can step onto the battlefield again." "Alright, tell me," Long Houchen said without hesitation. Yang Haohan said, "Your cultivation has increased a lot, but have your skills kept up? I know that you have bought some skills from the Holy City, but that is far from enough. I have arranged a series of skills for you to learn. Therefore, the first thing you must do is to familiarize yourself with these skills. Don't think that it is easy. Some skills are not so easy to learn." Long Houchen nodded. This was what they had to do. Yang Haohan continued, "The second condition is that you must become a Mithril Foundation Knight. With the Mithril Foundation armor, you will be able to protect yourselves better. At the same time, it will be harder for the demons to discover your existence. These 2 conditions are not too difficult. I am not making things difficult for you." Long Houchen was overjoyed and hurriedly said, "It is not difficult, not difficult. I will work hard to learn the skills and step onto the battlefield as soon as possible." Yang Haohan laughed and said, "Why? It seems that you do not care about the Mithril Foundation night assessment." Long Houchen scratched his head awkwardly, but still said, "I believe I can do it." On the other side, Han Yu had a bitter expression. He was only at the 6th order. If he wanted to participate in the Mithril Foundation night assessment, he had to be at least at the 7th order. Furthermore, Mithril Foundation knights were the cream of the crop even among rank 7 knights. With Long Houchen's current strength, it would not be difficult for him to pass the test, but it would not be easy for him. Yang Haohan smiled mysteriously and said, "Don't take the assessment so lightly. You are different from the others. You have the constitution of the Son of Light, and you are the next Temple Master of the Knights Templars. No matter what the assessment is, it will be stricter than the others. You will know when the time comes." Okay. Long Houchen agreed without hesitation. To him, the most painful situation was to be confined and protected. If that was the case, he would not be able to bear it. As for the assessment, he was confident in himself. Even if he did not have enough strength now, he would definitely succeed through continuous training. This was not only confidence in his strength, but also confidence in his own talent. The scale of the dragon-resisting mountain pass was much larger than the exorcist mountain pass. To be precise, the dragon-resisting mountain pass was a huge mountain, and the entire fort was dug out from the mountain. After entering the impregnable mountain pass, Long Houchen vaguely felt that there were several extremely terrifying auras near the mountain peak. Although he did not know what these auras were, he could vaguely guess that they should be the trump cards of the Knights Templars. Although the dragon-resisting mountain pass did not have a natural barrier like the Exorcist mountain range, the vile weather conditions made it extremely difficult to obtain supplies. In order to ensure the supply of resources to the dragon-resisting mountain pass, humans would store food here for at least 3 years. And whether it was the front or the back of the dragon-resisting mountain pass, it was a large area of extremely cold land. Although the demon army was stationed in front of the dragon-resisting mountain pass, their days were not easy. Terrifying snowstorms would appear almost every 2 days. Even if it was a 6th-order expert, if they did not have a tent to resist the cold, it would be difficult for them to survive for a long time. Even if there was a tent, it would often be buried under the ice and snow. Therefore, although the demon army had been stationed here for a period of time, their attacks had not been strong. They used the ice and snow as a cornerstone to build a simple ice and snow fortress. At least this way, the demon army would be a bit more comfortable. After all, to break through the dragon-resisting mountain pass was not something that could be accomplished in a day or two. This time, the demons had also paid a huge price, almost emptying all their savings for many years. Only then did they have the courage to launch an attack here.